नमस्कार सर. Yeah, I'll transfer the.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir. I'll transfer the host rights to you after a few minutes. I'll just check for everyone joining. Promote them to the.
Keep it with you till the end, no?
So, but then the screen sharing options and all will.
Okay. Fine.
Yes, sir. So by about 3:05, I'll transfer the hosting rights to you.
Oh, done.
नमस्कार. काही जणांनी हात वर केलेला दिसतोय, रेज हँडचा ऑप्शन वापरलेला आहे. पूर्ण ट्रेनिंग सेशन पूर्ण झाल्यानंतर शेवटी आपल्याकडे प्रश्नोत्तराचा कालावधी असणारच आहे, तर आपले प्रश्न राखून ठेवा. तो नमस्कार सर. सर निकम सरांची वाट बघतोय. निकम सर जॉईन झाले असतील तर त्यांना पण पॅनल वर प्रमोट करतो आणि मग पै सरांकडे राईट्स घेतोय सर.
नमस्कार. जे काही शिक्षक आणि त्याचे सहकारी या वेबिनारला जॉईन झालेले आहेत, असं निदर्शनास येते की बऱ्यापैकी अजून कमी पर्सेंट आहे वेबिनारला जॉईन होण्याचं. आपापल्या विभागात आपल्या महाविद्यालयातील सगळ्यांपर्यंत आपण फोन करून कळवावं. सर्वांनी 100% आपापल्या महाविद्यालयातले शिक्षक वेबिनारला उपस्थित पाहिजे. संस्था अंतर्गत सर्वच महाविद्यालय म्हणजे आर्ट्स, सायन्स, कॉमर्स आणि प्रोफेशनल हे सर्वच महाविद्यालयातले आजचे असणारे वेबिनार आउटकम बेस्ड एज्युकेशन नवीन शैक्षणिक धोरणाची अंमलबजावणी अतिशय महत्त्वाचे विषय आहेत आणि त्यासाठी सगळ्यांना ट्रेनिंगची गरज आहे आणि सगळ्यांसाठी काय महत्त्वाचा विषय घेऊन पैसर मार्गदर्शन करणार आहे. त्यामुळे जे कोणाची तब्येत बरी नसेल किंवा काही अंशी मेडिकलचे प्रॉब्लेम असतील ते नसले तरी त्यांच्याबद्दल अडचण नाही, कारण इथं उपस्थितीची नोंद घेतली जाते. आपल्या महाविद्यालयातील सर्व सहकाऱ्यांना फोन करून आपण कळवावे, जे काही जॉईन झालेले आहेत त्यांनी बाकीच्यांना जॉईन करण्यासाठी सहकार्य करावं.
सर 3 वाजलेले आहेत, सुरू करूया.
हा, सुरू करा.
नमस्कार. आजच्या या आउटकम बेस्ड एज्युकेशन या विषयावरच्या ट्रेनिंग वेबिनारसाठी आपलं सगळ्यांचं स्वागत आहे. पै सर आपल्याला पूर्ण मार्गदर्शन देणार आहेत. तत्पश्चात शेवटच्या काही क्षणांमध्ये आपण प्रश्नोत्तरासाठी वेळ ठेवलेली आहे. तर ज्यांनी काही प्रश्न नोंदवून ठेवले असतील, वेबिनारच्या शेवटपर्यंत कृपया वाट पाहावी आणि वेबिनारच्या शेवटी एकतर क्वेश्चन आन्सर बॉक्समध्ये किंवा रेज हँड ऑप्शन वापरून हे प्रश्न मांडावे. सगळ्यात सोपं क्वेश्चन आन्सर बॉक्स वापरणं हे होईल वेबिनारमध्ये, आणि तसं नसेल प्रत्यक्षच विचारायचे असतील तर मग रेज हँड करून प्रश्न विचारूया, त्यावर आपण बोलूया. मी आपल्या संस्थेच्या शैक्षणिक विभागाचे संचालक, माफ करा, आपल्या शैक्षणिक विभागाचे विश्वस्त प्रिन्सिपल डॉक्टर BS जगदाळे सरांचंही स्वागत करतो, पै सरांचंही स्वागत करतो. सर, आपल्याला सुरुवातीला काही महत्वाचे मुद्दे मांडायचे असतील तर मी आपल्याला विनंती करतो, जगदाळे सरांना विनंती करतो की त्यांनी सर्वांसमोर ते मुद्दे मांडावे.
सूचना दिल्या गेलेल्या आहेत, आपण डायरेक्ट पै सरांच्या व्याख्यानाकडे जाऊया.
हो सर. ओव्हर टू यू सर.
Okay, first of all, very good afternoon to all of you, and I express my deep gratitude to Dr. Jagdale for organizing this meeting with all of you. I'll tell you why I'm doing this. There is a reason behind it, so I would like to share it with all of you. And today is the most important day regarding this entire presentation, because I'm going to speak to all of you from the higher education and professional education. A few days back, that is about 10-12 days back, when I was talking to Colonel Venkat, my friend who's working inside AICTE, I was asking him ki, by when will we start implementing NEP in higher education? He said, sir, the date is already fixed from 1st June 2021. Central government universities are going to start, and IITs and NITs all have been informed to kickstart from as soon as possible. So I asked him, I said, there is a common question ki during the
Your voice has gone, sir.
considered as the worst place to go for education. Is my voice very low?
Now your voice is okay, sir. We missed from about 2 minutes back.
Okay, now the voice is clear?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so what I was trying to share with all of you is why we are meeting today, and the information which I got from AICTE, my friend Colonel Venkat, who's working there as the director, and he reminded me that whether, if I remember, why Australia is regarded now as one of the worst places to go for education. Australia and South Africa implemented outcome-based education and failed. So they withdrew from implementing the outcome-based education, and today they are not considered as good countries to go for education. See, he was reminding me about those two countries. If you go through Google, you will find how those countries have slipped in the education system. Then he told me about Malaysia and Singapore, how Malaysia implemented competency-based education and outcome-based education in 2005, 2010, and how they are, how they have become very successful in learning outcomes for their children. So that set me thinking, and the next day there was a presentation from UGC regarding transforming higher education. I was attending it, and then in the 9th slide I saw, in the very beginning, that is in the very beginning, I saw this suddenly the slide popping out with that the most important backbone of the entire new education policy would be implementing the outcome-based framework, outcome-based education. So that is the day I requested Dr. Jagdale and Bao also, whether we can arrange a meeting conference with all our staff, because we have only got 9 years time to prepare for this, and we need to quickly implement this, at least start understanding what it is about, and maybe start implementing it in the next 1 or 2 months. Okay, so this is roughly the background of why I'm talking to all of you, and a little bit of ground rules now. Just like what Jagdale sir pointed out, I would like you to listen to what I'm saying. Maybe for some of you it is boring, but please listen to me, because this, as I told you in the beginning, is the key thing in implementing the new education policy, the national education policy. It is going to become the heart of the entire process. If we fail to implement this outcome-based education, then the entire policy is going to fail. I mean, there's no doubt about it, just like what happened in Australia. So we need to understand what this process is about and why we need it. Okay. So both the things I'll explain today. I've already spoken to the schools and the junior colleges in the last 2 days. Today's presentation, I have changed slightly. About 70% of the presentation I've changed. I've brought in a few things which I thought is very relevant for higher education. So kindly listen to this presentation, and if you have any doubts, we will discuss it in the end of the presentation. I would request that we can keep the questions till the end so that I get a continuous smooth flow. And I'll ask for, as far as example, try to give you a lot of examples to make it very clear. Okay, in case I'm not clear, please ask me in the end. Okay, now we'll start with a video which will talk of outcome-based education in a nutshell. I will also show you one more video about PISA exam, which I have not shown so far to anybody. But first we'll start with outcome education. We'll see a video about this. Please listen to it very carefully. Okay, those of you watching through mobiles, please make it landscape, so that you view the video and as well as the PPT properly. Okay, so this video which I showed you is in a nutshell about the outcome-based education in the United States, one of the most successful countries which has implemented it. The second classic example is China. China calls it outcome-based teaching and learning, OBTL, but highly successful in China. I mean, something which we Indians need to be really learning from them. Something which they have copied from the West. Normally, they don't copy from the West, but this is something they have copied from the West. Okay, now we'll straight away go to the presentation, and I will, as far as possible, try to give you a lot of examples. Okay, so today we are going to see competency and outcome-based education. This is something I want to clarify with you right in the beginning, right in the start, that don't think these are only for schools. I mean, somebody was telling me कि sir ये सिर्फ school वालों के लिए है. This is something, the first point which I want all of you to remove from your mind. What you're going to see is the schools start implementing the competency based education, okay, from this year. This is what they're going to start implementing it, and all colleges, the higher education, will be implementing the outcome based education. And like what I'm going to show you in other slides, this will be a seamless transition from mastery based learning to outcome based learning. That means school and colleges will be seamless transfer of knowledge. So those of you, that is all of you who are teaching in colleges, also need to understand what is this competency based education in the school. Unless you understand this, you will not be able to understand outcome based education. And that is why I'm desperate to talk to all of you. I mean, we need to understand this concept first. कि स्कूल में competency based education जो CBSE में introduce हो रहा है, it is only for schools. No, it is not only for schools. It is also meant for all of us. It is meant for all the higher education and the professional education. Children are going to come out of 12th. They are going to join your colleges, and they are going to be assessed on competency based evaluation, competency based education assessment. So when they come to you, and when they transition to outcome based education, you have to understand the procedure, what they have studied in school or how they have been assessed in school. So this is what we are going to see today. Okay. Now in this slide, we see the reason why outcome-based education is going to be introduced in India. There are four, what you can say is, graphs which I want you to see. Let me pick the first one, which is this one, which talks of unemployability. This is the key factor why we require the outcome-based education in India. That is, students who are passing out from higher education colleges have become unemployable. Now, this is something which I am not saying from my own statistics. This is the figure which I have taken from the Government of India website, which releases an India Skill Report every year. This is the India Skill Report, which is released every year by CII and Government of India. And the report is published by an organization called VBox. And what they've seen is out of 50 lakh students who pass out every year from all the courses, only 50% are employable. More than 50% are unemployable. If you see the statistics of men and women last year, that is in 2020, 2021, before the pandemic hit India, only 38.9, around 39% men have got jobs. And among girls, about 41.25% have got jobs in India. You can download this India Skills Report 2021 from the internet. You can go through it. State-wise also, they have given the divisions. That means 50% of your graduates who are passing out from colleges are unemployable. It's not that jobs are not available. Jobs are available, but the students are unemployable. The industry is saying that there is a huge gap. There is a huge gap between the academia and the industry. And let me take an example, जो bottom में आपको दिख रहा है. The IT industry is now saying that 95% of engineers in India are unfit for software development jobs. This is a study which was presented based on statistics up to 2017-18. Okay. Only 5% of the engineers are fit for software development jobs. And that is why organizations like Infosys, TCS, now the recruitment is coming down. Roughly TCS, Infosys, they can recruit about 30,000 engineers per year, roughly. But at the moment, that is before the pandemic hit, TCS recruited only about 6,000 engineers. The year before that, they recruited 10,000 engineers. That means they have vacancies of about 20 to 25,000 engineers still available in their company. Yesterday, for junior colleges, I gave the example of NDA. In NDA, for example, last year there were 900 vacancies, but they could manage to fill up only 350. Startling. I mean, many in the industry are unable to understand why this is happening. And yesterday I told the junior colleges that during our time, there used to be a main list, a standby list, and a second standby list for selection. But now there is no standby list at all. Even in big companies, they put up only a selection list. There is no standby list of engineers selected, or there is no standby list in NDA, or there is no standby list in CDS exam, or even in UPSC exams. If you see, even in the IAS, there is no standby list now. There's only a main list. And there are so many vacancies available. The reason is that students are unemployable. Now, this is one of the reasons why there is a lot of pressure on the government of India to switch over to outcome-based education. Okay. Now, if you ask me examples of outcome-based models, I can straight away go to the second one, which is what you see in the military training. The military training is considered as, all of them are considered as outcome-based models. Okay, since long. These are outcome-based models. Your karate teacher teaches based on outcome-based model. Or your flying schools which teach flying are outcome-based models. If you want a simpler example, a Bharatanatyam teacher teaches based on outcome-based models. So it's something which is already available in India. We have already seen this. We have already seen that it is a success in the education stream. We have seen it as a big success in NTTF trained apprentices. They are very, very useful in a lot of industries. So if outcome-based models are already available in India, why we can't apply in our other colleges in our other places? This is a question which is disturbing and needs to be answered. Now, this is the second reason why we need to introduce outcome-based education very quickly, is because of the failure of our students to be on par with global colleges, global industries for jobs. So there is an organization which comes under OECD, Organization of Economic and something. You can take down the full form from the Google. OECD conducts an exam every 3 years, which is called PISA, Program for International Student Assessment. I'm not going to take much time in this, but India wrote this exam last in 2009. After that, Indian students did not write the exam because we failed miserably. We were 83rd out of 84 in 2009. So the Indian government did not allow the Indian students to write this exam. Every 3 years, this exam is conducted for 120 minutes. It's an online exam. About 1 lakh to 1.5 lakh students write this exam from every country. The 2018 PISA result is what I'm showing in this graph, where China heads the, tops the exam. They evaluate the students in 3 things. One is reading, the second is mathematics, and the third is science. China tops all 3. So their outcome-based learning, outcome-based teaching and learning is very, very effective. United States is somewhere here, which is a global leader for introducing the outcome-based education. So India needs to catch up with these countries, and thankfully the Indian students are going to write the 2021 exam. So this is something which all of you should know, that this is the second reason why we need to go for outcome-based education. Okay. The third reason now, since all of you from the higher education, I didn't explain this to the schools, but all of you need to understand that globally, all the colleges and industries have agreed that if students have to go and get training from, say, an Indian student has to go and get training from a US-based college or a UK-based college, there has to be some commonality in the education. There has to be some framework of education in every country which meets some standards. So the 1989, what happened was, a few countries got together and decided that we will have a common framework for making sure that education is international, international. Sorry. So that if one student goes from one country to another country, we know that they have a good framework. Also, their employment opportunity will be increased, because the employer will know, okay, he's coming from a country which has got a good education framework. And the third thing was, it's easy to gain professional recognition abroad. Now, Washington Accord started with the engineering colleges, okay? Then it went for the MBA through another forum. It has now gone on to several other sectors. So you have a lot of accords now. Washington Accord, Seoul Accord, Dublin Accord, the Monash University Accord. There are a variety of accords which have now been signed in many countries. But the basic background is key. If our Indian students have to go and get trained abroad from the year 2022, earlier it was 2021, now they are deferred it by 1 year. If our students have to go and get trained from international schools, international colleges from 2022, then they have to go from colleges which are accredited by NBA or by NAC. Now, this is mandatory. This is the key rule in Washington Accord, that accreditation is mandatory. And in accreditation, they have said the key framework or the backbone in accreditation is your outcome-based education. So that is another reason why outcome-based education is important. Okay, so we'll go to the next slide, which talks of the next reason why India is now running to catch up with other countries, which is called the Sustainable Development Goals. This was introduced by the United Nations in 2015. In 2015, United Nations said that all the countries affiliated to United Nations need to introduce common standard for all. And these have to be sustainable. And these standards will be as per what United Nations lays down. All the countries agreed that they will implement this, and the deadline was 2030. And in this particular sustainable development goal, if you see, the key things for all of us is sustainable development goal number 4, which is quality education. And those of you who are listening from the dental college, the sustainable development goal number 3, which is health. So this is another reason why we are trying to catch up with this 2030 date. Why this national education policy keeps talking of 2030 as the deadline. Okay. Now, one of the main aims, the key aim of the national education policy is to increase the number of students in higher education to at least 50% by 2035. Mind you, here the deadline is not 2030, here the deadline is 2035. That is, by 2035, if 100 students join school, then at least 50% should go on to higher education. Now, I'll take 2 minutes here to give you an example. मैंने कल और परसों 2 लाइव एग्जाम्पल्स दिए थे. एक व्हेन आई वाज स्पीकिंग टू द स्कूल्स, मैंने कारपेंटर की बात किया था, which is actually a live example. Now this carpenter taught his son how to do carpentry, and that son grew up by learning from his father. The carpenter's son went on to study in colleges. He went on to do some extra courses. And today, that son is now running one of the largest interior decoration shop in Mumbai. He's a live example of how education has transformed what you can say, a common man from a very small, what you can say is chawl in just near Dharavi. From there, this gentleman has gone on to become one of the biggest interior decorators in Mumbai. How education transformed him. I had given this example to the school people. Higher education transformed this boy into an interior decorator. I gave a second example yesterday when I was speaking to junior colleges about a farmer. He has 2 sons and they're very close to us, just about 30 kilometers from here, from Nasik. Both the children did not go and study in higher education. They dropped out of the higher education. They said, we will not go for higher education. When I spoke to both of these boys, I asked them, why you are not taken up higher education? So they told me कि सर हमारे जो पापा ने हमें सिखाया है उससे ज्यादा क्या कॉलेज सिखाएगा. हम कॉलेज जाते हैं तो वो जो प्रोफेसर है वो कुछ उनको कुछ भी प्रैक्टिकल मालूम नहीं है, वो थियरी पढ़ा रहा है हमें. हम थियरी सीख के क्या करेंगे? हमें थियरी नहीं चाहिए, हमें प्रैक्टिकल चाहिए कि खेतों में कैसे काम करेंगे, सॉइल का टेस्टिंग कैसे करेंगे. वो सॉइल का टेस्टिंग हम बता सकते हैं उस टीचर को कि कैसे कैसे क्या करना है और कहाँ पे होती है और क्या पैरामीटर्स है, क्योंकि हम लोग देखते हैं, प्रैक्टिकली देखते हैं उसको. So that struck me quite badly. Ki these two students did not go for higher education, stating that they know much better than the teachers who are teaching, because the teacher has got no practical experience. And this is one of the reasons quoted by industry also, कि our gross enrollment ratio in higher education is only 24% today. That means 100 बच्चे अगर स्कूल में हैं, only 24 are going for higher education, 76 are dropping out. It is only the reason is this, that the higher education is not able to teach students properly. They are unemployable. 50% of the students are unemployable. ये खुद गवर्नमेंट का स्टैटिस्टिक्स बोलता है, ये कोई प्राइवेट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन का स्टैटिस्टिक नहीं. And if you see that farmer's son, he himself makes a statement, sir, I know more than that teacher, so why should I go to that college? So there is something wrong. Can we make these students join back the higher education? Can we give some value added education to them? In Israel, for example, every student is given some kind of a value added education. They check what is his background, and that particular value is added to that kid. He goes and does a specialized course where some value is added. Now, in a big country like India, yes, it's a bit difficult. Population zyada hai, I can understand, but certainly our education system can be modified, and that is what the national education policy dreams of, or what it plans for. So, national education policy mein there is something very significant, wording which it says that children should be taught how to think and not what to think. In China, they say it as children should be taught how to fish, not how to eat fish. They should be taught how to fish. In their OBTL, that is what they say. So in India, now we are saying that children must be taught how to think. Okay, so this, I think, pretty much sums up why we want to implement outcome-based education. Now, the argument which all of you will give is कि हमारा infrastructure अच्छा नहीं है. It's impossible to do it in a country like India. And again, I'm showing you the on the left-hand side, you see the government statistics on, and this is a parliament answer which I have taken. The pupil teacher ratio. I have taken a state like Kerala, which has got the best education, people say. And if you see the pupil teacher ratio in class 9 and 10 is an astonishing 45:1 in Kerala. I'm not talking of any other state. I'm not even talking of Bihar. This is one of the biggest factors why our education system in schools is failing. Just before a few slides, I said the industry is saying there is a huge gap in the students who are coming out. They are not able to pass the aptitude test before joining the company. Many students are failing the aptitude test. And professional education institutions, engineering colleges are saying that aptitude test is taught in schools. We don't teach aptitude test. So schools ka problem hai. Schools are saying we are teaching properly. वो आपके higher education में problem है. You are not teaching them how to apply, how to understand, how to evaluate. So there is something wrong. There is something wrong. And this something wrong is seen in this slide. If you see the CBSE laid down teacher-student ratios 30:1, and if you look at the Cambridge ratio, I'm talking of the schools which follow the Cambridge, this thing is 15:1. I think AICTE is now laid down 20:1 for all professional institutions, if I'm right. Earlier it was 15:1 for PG, if I'm right. the world average is about 9:1 to 12:1. The maximum they permit is 15:1. I think one of the key reasons of failure of our education system in comparison to world education system lies in this slide. There is something wrong in our pupil teacher ratio and we are not able to recruit teachers. This is something which the NEP 2020 has addressed, that we need to recruit more teachers, and they have clearly laid down the guideline how we'll recruit these teachers. Okay. So the date of implementation I've said is 1st June 2021. Already announced for the CBSE schools and for central government universities and colleges, also 1st June 2021. So that is the reason why I'm talking to all of you. We just have 9 years time now to understand this concept and implement it in all our institutions. Let's go quickly into what are these concepts. Now this slide shows key the 12th standard exam is going to have the new pattern from I'm talking of the exam pattern, the competency based exam pattern will be from March 2024. So for you, the higher education, the key date is June 2024. Let me annotate it. 1 second. Let me take the spotlight. For all of you, the key date is these 12th standard students who are passing out in June 2024, because the new exam pattern is being introduced from March 2024. So you have exactly 3 years time now to prepare for these students, because for you, for the your assessment will start, your outcome based assessment is going to start from June 2024. That is the reason why I'm talking to all of you. You have sufficient time to prepare now for these students who are going to join you in June 2024. Okay. Now we'll see quickly what is the change which is going to happen. Okay. Competency, I am sure everybody knows what it means. The only thing which I would like to keep, all of you to keep in mind, and which I showed in the video also, that unless you know the competencies, you will not be able to define the outcome. Again, I repeat, unless we know the competencies, we will not be able to define the outcome. And competency means, sorry, to be suitable. The Latin word means competier, and it means to be suitable for the job, to be suitable for the class. Okay, so if this is the definition of competency, and all central government schools are going to introduce this from June 2021, I'll just take 5 minutes to explain to you what is this competency based education and how it is going to affect your outcomes. Now, there is something in outcome based education which you need to understand right in the beginning. I mean, I'm sorry, but before explaining OBE, I'm telling this, but you need to keep this factor in mind. So I am saying this. आपको आउटकम बेस्ड एजुकेशन जब आप लोग इम्प्लीमेंट करते हो, यू प्लीज रिमेंबर यू आर गोइंग टू डू इट बैकवर्ड इन द सेंस, पहले आपको आउटकम डिफाइन करना पड़ेगा. आउटकम डिफाइन करने के बाद देन यू आर डूइंग द टीचिंग लर्निंग एक्टिविटीज. यू आर प्लानिंग द एंटायर कोर्स फाइल एंड द एंटायर थिंग based on your outcome. So that means you are planning backward. In competency based education, fortunately for all the schools in India, the NCERT is laying it down. They are bringing out a beautiful document called NCF, National Curriculum Framework, which will define the competencies for school students. and they will also define how the students will be taught in the class and how they will be assessed in the class. So schools ke liye, it will be very easy for them because this framework is being defined by NCERT. But in colleges, this advantage you will not have. Nobody is going to bring out this kind of a framework.
Your voice is gone.
1 second. Now?
Marorkar sir, येतोय. Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
It is okay.
Yes.
Is it okay? It is okay.
Okay. So in colleges, in higher education, in professional education, unfortunately, this framework has to be prepared by you. And now you may ask me why you have to do double this job. That is because every college, every professional institution will be different. That is why I gave an example of a rural setting yesterday when I was talking to junior colleges. A student in, say, in Surgana, his area might have a different background. It might have a different industry. It might have a different farmer setting. It might have a different business, which is, in comparison to, say, Nasik, it will be a totally different setting for that kind of a place. So is it required that we have a common setup for Surgana as well as for Nasik? Each district, each village needs to have a different kind of a teaching learning process. So that is the reason that the learning outcome will be different for every college, will be different for every professional institution based on the area where they are located. So that is the reason why we need to define this outcome, and we need to define the the entire teaching learning process. So here in this particular slide, I have given a small example of what the competency is and what are the learning outcomes. Now, we'll see it when we go on to the outcome-based education. Okay. Now, those of you who have a doubt on what is this competency-based education, what is the CBSE thing which they are introducing from June 2021? Let me explain that with an example. Now, for example, we are evaluating the students based on marks. If the student gets 99 out of 100 in, say, science, the student is very good. That is how we evaluate these students. But in competency-based education, we are going to look for the learning competency. We are going to see whether the student is able to understand the concepts, is able to understand the competencies. So the learning competency is what is going to be evaluated from the students. Now this slide, you will see one example of the CBSE Standard 9, Grade 9. The chapter is on living things and their environment. So the assessment is going to check what the learner has learned and what he's supposed to learn. And the assessment will evaluate the student. वो स्टूडेंट ने क्या सीखा है and उसको कैसे apply कर सकता है. That is what the assessment will be done on. It will not check the student for marks. Rote based learning नहीं होगा. The child does not have to write what is given in the textbook. बाहर करके आने की जरूरत नहीं है अभी in competency based assessment. So the next slide, if you see, yeah, उसको थोड़ा मैंने बड़ा किया है. The same slide, but what is the competency? In that same chapter, the learner will learn what will the student learn? The learners explained how the respiratory and circulatory systems work together to transport nutrients, gases, and other molecules to and fro from the different parts of the body. Now, this will be evaluated based on some live examples, real life examples, or for example, from some experiential learning examples. यहाँ पे mark नहीं दिया जाएगा. That is why your entire mark sheet is going to change. It is going to become a 360-degree holistic mark sheet. The child is going to be evaluated on competencies. I think मैंने बाद में एक slide में मैंने mark sheet डाला है. I'll show you the draft mark sheet which CBSE has. Yeah, this is the one. This is the draft mark sheet which CBSE has planned to be introduced from this year for grade 9 students. There is going to be a change in this. So this is just a draft mark sheet which I'm showing you. So this is something which you are going to see on all your students, mark sheet from next year onwards, especially those who are in 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th. This is the mark sheet which you will see. There is going to be a change. I'm not going to take much time in this except telling you that if you see this, let me take you to this particular area here. If you read that, बहुत छोटा है, but if you read it, it says even the attitude of the student towards teachers, towards his friends, towards curricular programs, extracurricular programs, even that will be assessed in both the terms, and that will also be given grading. Grading doesn't mean marks; it is based on some competencies. If you read that CBSE document, it's very simple. You will understand what these competencies mean. So this is your 360-degree mark sheet, which is going to come from this year. Okay. Now here, I'm going to stop for a minute and show you the video of the PISA exam and how it transformed a country like Germany and Brazil. Now, this is a question from the PISA exam. It's a competency-based test. This is an online test. This is one of the questions asked for these students. Now, the student has to answer this question. It is not a bookish question. The student has to understand the concept and then find out the answer. The student has to think, and if the student is able to understand the concept, he can very easily answer this question. That is the biggest factor in PISA, and that is the biggest factor in competency-based assessment. So what I'll do is I'll stop the presentation here for 1 second, and we'll go for the video about how PISA helped Okay, so what I'm going to show now is how the PISA exam transformed a country like the German education system and the Brazilian education system. Just listen to this. Both follow the competency-based education, and I can tell you with authority regarding the German system, because that was a beautiful way of teaching, which really transformed a lot of people's lives. So just watch the video about the PISA.
How does PISA, the Programme for International Student Assessment, help shape education reform? Every 3 years, PISA results show what's possible in education, and countries are keen to learn from each other's successes. Just look at what happened in Germany. In 2000, PISA found that more than 1 in 5 students in the country did not reach the baseline level of proficiency in reading. It also found that differences in performance between poorer and wealthier students were some of the largest among all OECD countries. That PISA shock jolted the country's policymakers into action. All-day schools became the rule rather than the exception. The government introduced binding education standards and created assessments to measure student progress against those standards. Teachers were encouraged to invest more in their own professional development. Compared with other OECD countries, Germany moved from below average performance in reading in 2000 to above average in 2015. And much of that positive trend stemmed from improvements among the country's lowest achieving and disadvantaged students. Half a world away, Brazil was the lowest scoring country in PISA's 2003 assessment. More than half of students scored at or below the lowest proficiency level in mathematics, while fewer than 1 in 100 scored at the top level. Brazil set itself the goal of achieving at least the OECD average score in PISA by 2021, the year before the country celebrates its 200th anniversary of independence. By 2015, the country's lowest performing students had improved their mathematics scores by 34 points, the equivalent of 1 full year of schooling. And these gains were achieved even as Brazil added nearly 500,000 15-year-olds to its enrolments in grade 7 or above. Brazil still has a way to go to reach its performance goal and attain universal enrolment for 15-year-olds, but it measures its progress against PISA benchmarks. In a hyper-connected world, the standards of excellence in education are no longer fixed at national borders. Countries can learn from each other. Policies can be tweaked and tailored to work in different contexts. Every country and economy can improve student performance and make its school system more inclusive at the same time. PISA shows that those outcomes are not only desirable, they're attainable.
Okay, so PISA shows that not only is it attainable, but it can be, it is much, the whole country improves by implementing the standards. This is something which PISA exam proved. This is something which competency-based exam proves. And mind you, these countries did not drop out of the PISA race. They learned even Germany learned a big lesson. And in the last 20 years, they have now moved, maybe not to the top, but their students are doing quite well in the exams. Okay, so we'll go back to our presentation. So I was showing you one of the competency-based questions in PISA exam, and I showed you the video because of that. Okay. So coming back to the first slide which you saw, the reason why we need to understand competency-based education, the reason why we need to read the CBSE laid down competency-based education is because if we have to go for a seamless transfer of students from school to college, college में हमारा outcome-based education होने वाला है. So if you want that seamless transfer to take place, you have to understand what competency-based education is. तो थोड़ा सा आपको वो भी पढ़ना पड़ेगा. And in outcome-based education also, you have to learn what a competency is. पहला वाला वीडियो में आपने देखा होगा कि competency is also to be defined. तो ये मैं बाद में explain करता हूँ आपको. Okay, experiential learning, everybody must be listening to this. But आपके NEP 2020 के हिसाब से in the Indian outcome-based education and also in the school education system, we are also going to introduce more and more experiential learning, real life examples. I think the next slide I've explained that. The lessons are applied to real life situations. So you have 3 years time now, so you need to start working backward. You need to first define आपका जो outcome है आपको define करके you need to start working out your teaching learning activities, and वो teaching learning activities में you need to incorporate these real life situations. So that is why I'm showing this slide. The real life situations have to be defined. Okay. Okay, so now let's go to, we'll skip these. We'll discuss this particular slide in the end also, but यहाँ पे मैंने इसलिए डाला है because there is some confusion in some people as to how do we progress, how do we look at these outcomes, how do we just look at the, हम सिर्फ एक लेसन का आउटकम देखेंगे क्या, या एक कोर्स का आउटकम देखेंगे क्या, या एक प्रोग्राम का आउटकम देखेंगे क्या, या इंस्टीट्यूशनल का आउटकम देखेंगे क्या? How do we start and how do we look at it? And that is why I put this slide. The big mistake which we normally do is okay, let me start from the mistake which we do is हम लोग क्या करते हैं, we start from here. हम पहले ये define करके then we start going for the course outcome and then we go for the program outcome. Whereas what is laid down is, and इसलिए मैं आप सबको I think starting से बोल रहा था, you need to start from here. आपका जो कॉलेज है, आपका जो स्कूल है, आपका जो इंस्टीट्यूशन है, आपका डेंटल कॉलेज है या आपका कोई भी प्रोफेशनल कॉलेज है, you need to first define your institutional outcome, institutional mission and vision. वो लड़का या लड़की पास आउट होने के बाद 5 साल के बाद कहाँ पे रहेगी, आप उनसे क्या एक्सपेक्ट कर रहे हो, आप उनका what is your mission and vision for these children? So you have to basically start from here. You have to define this first. Your mission and vision, your institutional outcome has to be defined first and then go for the program outcome. And if you have defined the program outcome, then you go for the course outcome, and then you can define your lesson outcomes. So this is how we need to start planning. Don't make a mistake of starting from here and then going to the top. No, it does not work out. I'll give you the example of the defense. Armed forces में क्या होता है, हम पहले ये देखते हैं what does the institution want. 5 साल के बाद अगर हम किसी को ट्रेन कर रहे हैं तो 5 साल के बाद उससे क्या एक्सपेक्ट करते हैं हम लोग, वो पहले डिफाइन करते हैं हम लोग. What do we want from this trained soldier? 2 साल के बाद 3 साल के बाद वो trained soldier क्या करना चाहिए, we define that first. उसके बाद जो हम लोग वहाँ पे that training institute, what is that program outcome, what do we expect from that program, we define that program. Then every course, every unit outcome is defined, and then every day program is defined. I mean, I'll share with you one secret of the armed forces, which some of you may not be knowing. जब आप ज्वाइन करते हो किसी भी ट्रेनिंग प्रोग्राम में इन द आर्म फोर्सेस, व्हेन यू ज्वाइन ऑन द फर्स्ट डे, आपके पास एक किताब आता है. सपोज वो 6 मंथ का ट्रेनिंग प्रोग्राम है, सपोज यू हैव गॉन फॉर अ शॉर्ट टर्म ट्रेनिंग प्रोग्राम, 6 महीने का ट्रेनिंग है, तो आपको पहले दिन से आखिरी दिन तक 6 months का every day program will be given to you on the very first day. पहले दिन आपके पास पूरा प्रोग्राम, मिनट वाइज प्रोग्राम आपके हाथ में रहेगा. एंड the definitions also will be there कि आपसे क्या एक्सपेक्ट कर रहे हैं वो लोग. And this has been there since long. I mean, I remember it when I joined the institutions in 1985. Even those days, it used to be cyclostyle paper. We used to get those cyclostyle sheets. Ki this is your program. So, and this works beautifully. It works successfully in all the institutions. So that is why I'm showing this slide. ये जो slide है आपके सामने अभी, the same reason. अगर आप Bloom taxonomy बोलते हैं या कुछ भी बोलते हैं, you need to start defining your university mission first, then your school college mission. In our case, it is not university mission, it will be the Mahatma Gandhi Vidyamandir ka HO ka mission, or maybe your Maharashtra University Health Sciences or say AICT ka some guidelines which are there will come in your mission. And then your school college mission, then the program mission, then the goals, then the program outcomes, then the course outcomes, and the course unit instructional outcomes. This is how you see it in the Bloom's taxonomy. So we need to start planning from this side. That is why I'm saying development. You need to start planning from here. So if you have to attain this, if you want to attain this, you need to start planning this way. And this is something many people miss out. This is something which many people make a mistake. वो क्या करते हैं, यहाँ से start करते हैं and ऊपर जाने की कोशिश करते हैं. नहीं होता है वो, and you will fail if you do like that. So I would request all of you to look into this when you start implementing this in the next. Okay. A small slide about कि स्कूल में जो competency based education हो रहा है, वो और traditional education जो आजकल चल रहा है उसमें क्या difference है. Today we are going for rote learning. हमें mark से important है. We are looking at की marks. कोई बच्चा आके बोलता है सर मैं 12th standard पास हो गया, तो सबसे पहला question क्या होता है, कितना मार्क मिला है. So that is going to change. That traditional education is going to change. Nobody is going to ask a question, kitna mark mila hai. The main thing will be, have you understood? Have you learned? Ek second. Okay, can the child demonstrate mastery of content? It allows them to show what they know as soon as they know it. So that is going to be the difference. Does the child know what he has learned? The PISA exam में वही test करते हैं. Does the child have competencies? So ये rote based learning बंद हो जाएगा. Okay. So we'll skip these and we'll go straight to the outcome based education. So I've taken a lot of time in explaining to you so far ki why we need to understand competency based education. School mein jo hone wala hai, why we need to understand that, and how we should start implementing outcome based education in all our colleges. Now, outcome based education is going to be implemented. मैं आपको एक minute, I think I will show you that also. मरालकर
सर
डिसेबल किया है क्या शेयरिंग?
सर शायद से बीच में यहाँ पे थोड़ा कनेक्टिविटी प्रॉब्लम हुआ था. वापस से एक बार अब ट्राई करेंगे प्लीज सर.
या ओके, थैंक यू.
थैंक यू सर.
Okay, now this is the presentation I am showing you, given by the Government of India a few days back, which spoke of transforming higher education NEP 2020. मैं इसके लिए बहुत दिन से वेट कर रहा था कि डेट्स कब अनाउंस करेंगे. तो ये थोड़े दिन पहले ये हुआ था. इट वाज एन 8 hour presentation. करीबन सुबह 9 o'clock it started and it went on and on till I think evening 6 o'clock, with an half an hour gap. And if you see this, I'm just going to slide number 9. ये आप लोगों को किसी को interested है, then we can have a separate webinar on this. I've already told Bambar sir about this. ये 9th slide है. This is a Government of India presentation. Look at the 9th slide. What does it say? Learning outcome curriculum framework for all courses in India. Outcome based education is going to be there for all the courses, including medical, including legal, including architecture. जो भी course है, outcome based education is going to be introduced in India. So this is announced by the Indian government. There is no two doubts about this. So let us not have any doubt ki whether it will be implemented. I hope I have clarified that. So let's go back to yeah. So we are going back to our initial presentation, which is outcome-based education. I'll take another 10 minutes to explain what we have to do in the next 2 to 3 months and in the next 2 to 3 years also. So simplest way of जो हम लोग आर्मी, एयरफोर्स, नेवी में बोलते हैं कि आउटकम बेस्ड एजुकेशन क्या है, मैंने डेफिनेशन लिया है. दिस इज नॉट कॉम्प्लिकेटेड. तो ये अगर आप पढ़ते हैं, इफ यू रीड दिस, इट मेक्स इट वेरी क्लियर व्हाट इज इट अबाउट. आउटकम बेस्ड एजुकेशन मीन्स वेरी clearly focusing and organizing everything in an education system around what is essential for all students to be able to do successfully at their end of their learning experience. To be able to do successfully. आज मैंने आपको सॉफ्टवेयर इंजीनियरिंग का पहला स्लाइड में दिखाया था. 95% ऑफ द सॉफ्टवेयर इंजीनियर्स आर अनफिट फॉर देयर जॉब्स. रिसेंटली गोवा में एक मेरा फ्रेंड था, उसने मुझे फोन किया था कि उसको एमटेक कंप्यूटर साइंस के बच्चे चाहिए फॉर हिज कंपनी एंड ही इज विलिंग टू पे अ गुड सैलरी. I had referred lot of students there for interview and his call came back to me कि यार तुम कैसे कैसे लोगों को भेज रहे हो, they're all unfit to work in my company. So I asked him कि they're all MTech computer science, why are you saying they're unfit? So he said कि they just I can't put them in the job from first day. They don't know what is to be done. उनको क्या पढ़ा रहे हैं क्या मालूम है. For example, they are being taught Python and R in their MTech course, but data analytics तो मालूम ही नहीं है उनको. They don't know what to do. They are not able to do successfully after learning computer science. This was his complaint. So in outcome-based education, this is going to change. If the student has to work in that software company, if that student has to do some data analytics, he will be able to do it successfully at the end of his learning experience. That is what the outcome-based education is intending to do. अगर आप आर्मी एयरफोर्स का एग्जाम्पल लेते हैं, आर्टिलरी सीखने गया है, गन्स कैसे चलाना है उसको मालूम होना चाहिए उसके ट्रेनिंग के एंड में. ही शुड नो द कंप्लीट फीचर्स. कैसे गन को डिसअसेंबल करें, कैसे गन असेंबल करें, कौन सा बुलेट यूज करें, कौन सा एम्युनिशन यूज करें, टारगेट कितने डिस्टेंस पे है, कितने डिस्टेंस पे मैं शूट कर सकता हूँ, विंड फैक्टर क्या है, विंड अगर ज्यादा तेज आते हैं तो मैं क्या करना चाहिए. He learns everything. Whether say बारिश हो रहा है तो how will I fire at the target? Each and everything is being taught. Outcome, that soldier will be able to do successfully at the end of his learning experience. That is the key meaning or key understanding of outcome based education. And like what I told you, PISA ने already prove किया है कि Indian students are far behind. हम लोग 83rd out of 84 थे in 2009. तो हमें बहुत catch up करना है. And 2030 तक, we have to implement the Sustainable Development Goal in the entire country. So, outcome-based education has to be implemented. Okay. So, the dictionary definition of outcome is goal, purpose, end. I'm not going to go deep into this because it actually doesn't give much, knowledge to us on the whole thing. But I would prefer the Army, Air Force, Navy definition of outcome-based education. Only thing here is this word. I want you to understand this. In outcome-based education, the end result must be observable. That is very key. तो इसलिए मैंने ये स्लाइड डाला था. Okay. There is a general doubt regarding outcome-based education. So I took some time. मैंने 2 स्लाइड डाला है उसके लिए. Hotel and management students के लिए I can explain. What is the outcome we want from the students? Is it only that वो केक बना के हमें दिखा दें? Is that the outcome which we are expecting? At the end of the course, कि वो केक बना के हमें दिखा दें? No. We have to go beyond that. We have to see कि he knows how to use the oven, what temperature is perfect, in the oven, what are the different types of oven which are available, what are the kind of ingredients which can be added in the oven, what are the different type of vessels which can be used in the oven, what is butter paper, the whole thing, what you can say is expanse of how a cake is baked comes into the outcome. Outcome doesn't mean कि मैंने केक बनाना सिखा दिया तो वो मेरा outcome खत्म हो गया. This is the mistake which we do. Oh, उसने तो 99 out of 100 लिया, केक बना दिया उसने तो outcome हो गई मेरे. No, that is not outcome. Outcome means he knows everything about the aspect of cake baking. वो student से gun सीखने आया है तो I have to teach him everything about firing, including how he fires when it is raining, or say when he is paradiving, when he is jumping from an aircraft, he is paradiving. Now he has to fire his gun. So even that has to be taught to these people. Everything has to be taught. How the gun is पानी के अंदर गया, so can he fire under the water? या मेरा गन पानी में गया तो कैसे उसको क्लीन करें? Everything has to be taught. That is the outcome which we are expecting, not कि मैंने केक बनाना सिखा दिया तो मेरा outcome खत्म हो गया. This is the mistake which we do in our institutions कि मैंने केक बनाना सिखा दिया तो मेरा outcome आ गया. Okay. Again, this slide I have put for the same reason. That the mistake which we are doing now is कि हम लोग ऑब्जेक्टिव क्या डिफाइन करते हैं कि हमने रेसिपी दिया तो केक बनाना सिखा दिया. तो आउटकम इज कि केक बनना चाहिए. आई थिंक नेक्स्ट स्लाइड में वो क्लियर हो जाएगा. यस, ड्राइविंग स्कूल का एग्जांपल लेते हैं. तो मैंने उसको ड्राइविंग सिखा दिया, ड्राइविंग लाइसेंस मिल गया. द आउटपुट इज ड्राइविंग लाइसेंस. व्हाट इज द आउटकम? can he drive in, say, Chandni Chowk in Delhi, where the traffic is mad? उसको अभी अभी मैंने ड्राइविंग सिखाया. Can he from day one drive in such a traffic? Does he know the driving rules of driving in these kind of places? या टायर पंक्चर हुआ तो does he know how to change the tire? या फॉर एग्जाम्पल स्टार्टर खराब हुआ तो डज ही नो हाउ टू स्टार्ट द इंजन? एटलीस्ट एक बार स्टार्ट करके रिपेयर शॉप पहुंचने तक उसको मालूम है क्या? जस्ट ड्राइविंग सीखने से उसका आउटकम खत्म नहीं हुआ. ही हैज टू लर्न द एंटायर थिंग, दैट 360 degree thing, and this is the change which is going to come in your education system. That is the change which is expected in each one of you when you start working backward. And you have now 3 years time to accept your students who are coming from 12th standard, and 2030 तक आपको 9 साल है to introduce this beautifully. And I am taking lot of pains in talking to all of you is because please take it seriously. ये एक गेम चेंजर है. डोंट अलाउ इट टू फेल. ये मैंने जर्मनी में खुद देखा है. इट वर्क्स beautifully. The system works beautifully, and I'm telling you, many of you will get benefited from this transition which is going to take place. If you do it successfully, you yourself will be patting your own back. You know, this is how education system should be implemented. Okay. Yeah. Now this slide I kept for something which I need to tell all of you is regarding the graduate attributes. We need to also, I think मैंने सारे deans को ये भेजा है, and I told the deans that we will discuss this, and I thought I'll include this discussion today. आपके जो आप जब program outcomes define करते हो, I'm not talking of the PEOs, I'm talking of the POs. When you're defining the program outcomes, please keep in mind the graduate attributes also, so that aapka, you can successfully implement the entire outcome-based education. Again, nobody is going to teach this, ये national education policy या curriculum framework में ये लिख के नहीं आएगा कि this is how we have to do it. ये हमें खुद करना पड़ेगा. So this is something where all of us can sit, all of your board of studies can sit, and we can work this out. And what is this graduate attributes which I am talking of? Okay, I think we'll go straight to that. Is this. These are some of the graduate attributes which you need to incorporate in your outcome-based education. Now let me go back to that. I'll refer, दोनों example मैं लेता हूँ. वो farmer's child, दोनों बच्चों ने higher education पे नहीं गए, and they are very successful now. ऐसा नहीं कि वो सक्सेसफुल नहीं है. उनके फार्म में उन्होंने यूरोप बोल रहा हूँ, इजराइल का ड्रिप फार्मिंग सिस्टम इंट्रोड्यूस किया है. उनको किसी ने सिखाया नहीं. They had the money, they learned it by themselves, they had seen it in some exhibition, they saw it. One of them flew to Israel, उसको ज़्यादा इंग्लिश नहीं मालूम है, फिर भी वो इजरायली के साथ टाई अप करके वहाँ से he has brought the drip farming to the their farm just near Pimpalgaon, backside of Pimpalgaon. And it is working beautifully. The entire farm is working on drip farming quite successfully. Now, without education, without any formal learning, वो 10वीं पास वाला बच्चा इजराइल जाके उसने पूरे सिस्टम यहाँ पे इंस्टॉल किया है. And I saw when I met him and spoke to him, in fact, I think I met him around 10-15 times. I have met him. I saw all these attitudes which I am showing you here. A graduate, when he passes out of a college, should have communication skills. Sorry. So this boy had the ability to speak properly and communicate properly. He was able to explain to me clearly how they implemented it in their farm, how he went to Israel and got it. Teamwork. Both the brothers and the entire farmers working in that farm were working beautifully. ये ग्रेजुएट एट्रीब्यूट है, बोलते हैं कि एजुकेशन के बाद ही आता है, बट मैंने वहां पे देखा था प्रोफेशनलिज्म. They have much better knowledge than the teacher in the agriculture college in KK. I was amazed with the kind of depth of knowledge they had. I was discussing them. एक earthworm के बारे में हम लोग discuss कर रहे थे, and he was explaining to me how the earthworm digs and goes deep, and at to what level the earthworm can dig, and that is the level of professionalism these children had without any education. Lifelong learning. They went to an exhibition and learned कि ड्रिप फार्मिंग हो सकता है, एंड आई एम श्योर कि वो जिंदगी भर वो सीखते रहेंगे. इम्पैक्ट ऑन सोसाइटी. आज वो उनके वेजिटेबल्स एक्सपोर्ट होता है फ्रॉम कंटेनर फ्रॉम ओजर एयरपोर्ट. उनकी वेजिटेबल्स यूरोप में एक्सपोर्ट होता है. एथिक्स एंड इक्वालिटी. They have a lot of farmers in their this thing where there is no divisions laid down. सब equal है वहाँ पे. Economics and project management. Some of the cheapest vegetables which I've seen, organic vegetables which I've seen being produced, at least in the Nasik area. Knowledge base. I've already spoken this. उनकी knowledge इतनी अच्छी थी. Problem analysis. They were able to do कि वहां पे क्या weakness है. They could analyze the problem and find out what is the solution. Solution was drip farming. They implemented it. Investigation. Soil analysis मैंने बताया कि how they investigated it and found out the problem. Design. They only got the technique from Israel. They bought the pipelines. They designed it themselves, implemented it here. And उनके जो farm है is a you can see all the tools which are even a robot for digging the ground. Without education, these children are using app now. App based. उन्होंने एक warehouse के लिए उन्होंने कि उस warehouse में क्या temperature रखना चाहिए, वो app में उन्होंने design किया करके वो app use कर रहे हैं वो लोग. Amazing. I mean, that's the level of graduate attributes which these two children are having without formal education. ये so हमारा बच्चे जो हमारे college से pass out होते हैं, so is it not possible that we give these kind of graduate attributes to them? So these are the graduate attributes which need to be incorporated when we design the program outcomes. 12 graduate attributes हैं. Which you need to keep in mind. If you do this, I am telling you, you will have the most successful outcome-based education in your college. Okay. Yeah, I think I'll take some time in this slide. UGC ने ये जो draft अभी बनाया है for the outcome-based education for all the courses, आपके पास शायद 2-3 साल लगेगा पहुंचते पहुंचते. बिकॉज दे नो कि 12वीं के बाद आपके पास 2024 में ही आएंगे बच्चे. तो ये जब तक हायर एजुकेशन कमीशन ऑफ इंडिया बनेगा, HECI बनेगा, उसके बाद NHERC बनेगा, उसके बाद गाइडलाइन पास होगी, तब तक 1-2 साल जाएगी. बट इन द ड्राफ्ट गाइडलाइन ऑफ द UGC, दिस इज व्हाट यू सी. ये जो स्लाइड आपको दिखाई दे रहा है, दिस इज व्हाट दे आर प्रपोजिंग फॉर ensuring कि आप आउटकम बेस्ड एजुकेशन सही तरह इंप्लीमेंट करोगे एंड वो ग्रेजुएट एट्रीब्यूट्स कैसे इनकॉर्पोरेट करोगे. समथिंग वेरी सिमिलर टू द ब्लूम्स टैक्सोनॉमी, एक्सेप्ट दैट यहाँ पे इफ यू सी दे हैव क्लियरली गिवन व्हाट काइंड ऑफ words you can use to bring out the outcome in your courses. So, एक second, I think. For example, if the child has to understand that particular concept, then these are some of the things which should reflect in your outcome. तो ये already आपकी draft जो UGC बना रही है अभी, that draft इसमें they have already incorporated this. You will be getting it, but it will take some time to, I think, reach you. Okay. Now I'll take 1 or 2 minutes on this, why experiential learning is very important, and why we are starting experiential learning from 6th standard. 6th standard से आपका experiential learning start हो रहा है. So that means जब बच्चा आपके पास 12वीं पास करके आता है तो they will have some amount of field experience already. मैंने अकाउंट्स के आई थिंक कुछ दिनों पहले अकाउंट्स का मैंने एग्जांपल दिया था ड्यूरिंग द बोर्ड ऑफ स्टडीज मीटिंग कि लॉट ऑफ कंपनीज प्रिफर ओनली साउथ इंडियंस तमिलियंस टू वर्क इन द अकाउंट्स डिपार्टमेंट मलयालीज एंड तमिलियंस मोस्टली so that if you analyze and इसमें काफी रिसर्च वर्क भी गया है it is seen that they have a culture of having field experience experiential learning in accounts matters from a very small age. जब से छोटे हैं तो उनको उसमें they get themselves involved. So many of the Tamilians you find are quite knowledgeable because they are having very good experience. And I'll now bring that carpenter ka example. I told you that farmer's son who got, it's not farmer's son, sorry, carpenter's son who got trained by his father. The father trained the boy initially in the same style. जो पिताजी काम करते थे वही वो फर्नीचर बनाते थे घर का फर्नीचर बनाते थे ओल्ड फैशन बेड बनाते थे चेयर बनाते थे जो आपको नासिक में एक सेबल फर्नीचर प्लाजा करके है वहां पे दिखाई देता है. बट दिस बॉय वाज क्यूरियस. उसने क्या किया आउटकम सिर्फ केक नहीं बनाना है केक से मुझे पूरा सीखना है कि केक के साथ साथ मुझे कैसे इक्विपमेंट यूज करना है उसका कौन सा वुड यूज करना है कौन सा नेल यूज करना है कितना डेप्थ में मैं इसका ये करूं यू नो द बॉय स्टार्टेड थिंकिंग बियॉन्ड व्हाट हिज फादर टॉट हिम. So he went to college. He took additional education. What he told me was, yes sir, मुझे college में ज़्यादा knowledge नहीं मिला, but what happened was मेरा mind expand हो गया. मैं library में गया, मैं पढ़ने लगा, किताब पढ़ने लगा, मैंने ढूंढने लगा कि ये कैसे कैसे करते हैं. And from that, what I did was, my experience, I started applying it in the areas, and that is how I went on to interior decoration. And interior decoration was कि मैंने कोई कोर्स नहीं किया था ये मेरा खुद का एक्सपीरियंस से मैंने किया है मेरा लर्निंग से किया है. So this is something which is going to come in all your colleges, experiential and applied learning. So your project-based learning, your laboratory work, your apprenticeships, your community service, your field studies, service learning, ये सब defined है national education policy में. You better start work on this. I am sure कि a lot of you are already doing this, but a lot of emphasis will be laid down on this aspect आपका future में. Okay. And last but one slide, I think सभी को मैंने वो blended learning का भी मैंने circulate किया है. अभी blended learning का उन्होंने आपसे suggestions मांगा है, but I can tell you कि most of what they have written is going to be implemented from 1st of July 2021. That is for 40% online training and 60% face-to-face learning. But if you see the loophole in that, they are keeping 80% online learning and 20% face-to-face learning, classroom learning. So this is going to come. So, and because of the pandemic, because of the lockdown, आपका online learning काफी दिनों continue होने वाला है. Why I'm keeping the slide is online assessment is going to become a critical factor. ये मैं बार बार बोल चुका हूँ, and I think we need to focus on that. Lot of principals will complain to me कि यहाँ पे इंटरनेट नहीं है, यहाँ पे टेक्नोलॉजी नहीं है, तो मैं कैसे इम्प्लीमेंट करूँगा. This is something we need to work upon. Yes, we need to improve upon our infrastructure. मैं एग्री करता हूँ कि काफी जगह पे वीकनेसेस है, तो मैं इसलिए बोल रहा हूँ हमारे पास 3 साल का टाइम है, एंड दैट इज व्हाई आई आस्क्ड फॉर दिस प्रेजेंटेशन कि वी नीड टू स्टार्ट प्लानिंग. You want me to go and talk to BSNL regarding BharatNet? It can be done. We'll start talking, but 3 साल के अंदर we need to have our framework laid down. That is what I'm trying to say. Okay, I think this is my last slide. One request to all of you regarding an issue which I keep telling and quite often. मैं बार बार ये कहता हूँ कि we need to avoid crab mentality. कोई अच्छा कर रहा है, if somebody is doing very good things or at least is giving good suggestions or he is able to implement something, we need to learn from them. Ask them how they were able to achieve these things. Learn from them and try to, implement it here. And outcome-based education is something which I am telling you, I have personally seen as the biggest success in German education system. अगर आज German education system is very good in terms of studies, it is only because from 2000 they changed their style to OBE. आज अगर चाइना ऊपर है पीसा एग्जाम में, it is not because of their old traditional way of teaching. It is because they switched over to outcome based teaching and learning, OBTL, including in schools. In China, even in schools they have outcome based education. In India, we are going to have competency based education and then go for outcome based education. So let us not criticize this move. ये अच्छा है, it has to be done, and like what I showed you in the Government of India का जो presentation है, right in the beginning, 9th slide में ही उन्होंने डाला है कि outcome based education is going to be there for all the courses. So let us not keep saying कि ये कब implement होगा, कैसे implement होगा, यहाँ पे इंटरनेट नहीं है, कैसे करेंगे. Let us not get into that. Let us all get together and form a team and let us start implementing it. We have time, 3 years, I do agree, but it takes lot of time to implement this. Please believe me, ये outcome define करके उसको implement करने में 2 महीना 3 महीने में नहीं होता, ये 3 साल लगता है. And by 2024 you will be ready for your students. So thank you for listening. I'm sure a lot of you have taken pains to attend to this webinar. Thank you for attending today. I hope I have given some sort of a knowledge to all of you as to why we are going ahead for outcome-based education, why PISA is important, and a little bit of how we have to do it, especially with respect to our mission, vision and graduate attributes. थोड़ा सा मैंने आपको explain किया, ज़्यादा नहीं, but we can college wise we can sit down and then go into this. Thank you, and I hope it has been fruitful to all of you. Thank you.
थँक यू सर, थँक यू व्हेरी मच. मित्र, सरांनी आपल्याला अतिशय चांगल्या कमी वेळात आणि इफेक्टिव्ह प्रेझेंटेशनने फ्युचर एज्युकेशन स्ट्रीम आणि नवीन एज्युकेशन सिस्टीम मध्ये व्हॉट आर द डिफरंट चेंजेस अँड व्हॉट आर द डिफरंट एक्सपेक्टेशन फ्रॉम ओव्हरऑल स्टेक होल्डर्सच्या सगळ्या अपेक्षा पूर्ण करण्यासाठी what are there in new education policies in outcome based education's importance of outcome based education's पासून in depth आपल्याला गाईड केलेला आहे. कोणाला काही क्वेश्चन असेल त्यांनी कृपया क्वेश्चन अँड आन्सर्स मध्ये विचारू शकता. निश्चितच आपण काही क्वेश्चन्स घेऊया. तत्पूर्वी खरं तर सुरुवातीच्याच फेजला सरांची ओळख होणं गरजेचं होतं. फर्स्ट टाइम ऑल सिनियर कॉलेज स्टाफ मेंबर्स जे बरोबर सरांचे इंटरॅक्शन होत आहे. त्यामुळे फक्त एक दोन शॉर्ट मध्ये मी सरांचा थोडक्यात परिचय पण करून देतो. हे सुरुवातीला व्हायला पाहतं. सरांनी आपल्या संस्थेमध्ये चीफ एक्झिक्युटिव्ह ऑफिसर म्हणून गेल्या साधारणतः मागच्या पॅन्डेमिक सिच्युएशनच्या एप्रिल मेच्या दरम्यान जॉईन केलं होतं. सरांचं PhD त्यांनी जे केलेलं आहे ते जर्मनीमधनं केलेलं आहे. इंटेलिजन्स मॅन्युफॅक्चरिंग इंडस्ट्री 4.0 फ्रॉम रेवात जर्मनी. सरांनी ॲडिशनल क्वालिफिकेशन MTech फ्रॉम IIT बॉम्बे मटेरियल सायन्स, PG in एरोस्पेस इंजिनिअरिंग एअरफोर्स टेक कॉलेज, BTech in मेकॅनिकल इंजिनिअरिंग, क्वालिफाईड इन्स्ट्रक्टर इन इंजिनिअरिंग AFIT OYO USA. सरांचा वर्क एक्सपिरियन्स जर बघितला 2 वर्ष हिंदुस्तान कम्प्युटर लिमिटेड, 25 years फॉर इंडियन एअरफोर्स अँड MOD, 2 years ॲज अ जनरल मॅनेजर इन मीन अँड MSME कोलकाता. सरांचा खरं तर गोल्ड मेडलिस्ट पर्सनॅलिटी आहे आणि हे सगळं व्यक्तिमत्व आता आपण सगळ्या सरांच्या व्ह्यूज अँड आयडिया अँड हाऊ टू एक्सप्लेन द कन्सेप्ट दॅट इज टीचिंग मेथडॉलॉजीचं जर पार्ट केला त्याच्यावरून आपल्याला लक्षात येत आहे. मित्रो, येणारा काळ एज्युकेशन मधला लॉट ऑफ चेंज होणारा काळ आहे आणि त्यानुसार अनेक एज्युकेशन इन्स्टिट्यूशनने बदल सुरू केलेले आहेत आणि अनेक महाविद्यालयांच्या स्तरावर सुद्धा प्रोग्राम आउटकम्स, कोर्स आउटकम, अटेनमेंट ऑफ COs अँड POs ह्या सगळ्या बाबी आता इट इज अ पार्ट मॅन्डेटरी केलेल्या आहेत आणि आपण पण कोर्स वाईज COs अँड POs अँड अपलोडेड ऑन आवर वेबसाईट हे सगळं आपण करत आहोत. पण हे सगळं करताना व्हॉट हॅपन्स दॅट व्हॉट एव्हर दी COs अँड POs गिवन बाय युनिव्हर्सिटीज ऑर ॲज पर दी गाईडलाईन्स ऑफ UGCs आपण त्या अनुषंगाने अपलोड करतो, माहिती ठेवतो, फाईलला रेकॉर्ड म्हणून ठेवतोय. जे एक्सपेक्टेशन मुलांच्या आहेत, आपण इव्हॅल्युएशन सिस्टीमचा जो आपण कंपॅरिझन येणाऱ्या काळामध्ये जे एक्सपेक्टेशन इव्हॅल्युएशन मधलं आहे त्याच्यामध्ये बरंच बदल होणार आहे ना. आपली मानसिकता, आपली तयारी, आपलं शिकवण्याच्या मेथड्स आपण सगळे चांगले शिकवतो आणि परफेक्ट नॉलेज देतो हे सगळं बरोबर जरी असेल तरी अनेक ड्रॉबॅक्स आहेत, अनेक गॅप्स आहेत. ते गॅप जर ओव्हरकम करायचे असेल तर आपल्याला लॉट ऑफ ट्रेनिंगची गरज आहे आणि तेच पार्ट महात्मा गांधी विद्यामंदिर संस्थेच्या वतीने आपण देण्याचा प्रयत्न करत आहोत. निश्चितच काही क्वेश्चन्स आहेत, ते फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल क्वेश्चन्स आपण घ्यायला पाहिजे.
आई थिंक साहेबराव दियोरे ने पूछा है कि व्हाट इज द टीचर स्टूडेंट रेशियो एट कॉलेज लेवल. The government of India has only put up for schools in the parliament session, but college level का जो statistic available है in the same ACR report and VBox का जो report है, it varies between 40:1 in rural colleges to about 35:1. But I have heard that in some places it is as high as 50:1. So roughly around 40:1 आप ले सकते हैं. That is the college level teacher student ratio, student teacher ratio, you can say 40 students to 1 teacher. But there is no government statistics. School का है, you can download the school का from the Ministry of Statistics का website, which I have put up in our presentation. I hope that answers your question. Second question कोई anonymous है. what is the primary purpose of evaluating an OB training system? I don't know what your question means, but I'll tell you one thing कि आपके जो competency based education में या outcome based education में evaluation and assessment is going to become the key factor. ये success होगा या failure होगा is going to depend on the assessment system. And CBSE fortunately has taken lot of pains in first giving you how to assess the students. अगर आप CBSE वेबसाइट पे जाके देखते हैं अभी उन्होंने 6 स्टैंडर्ड से लेके 12 स्टैंडर्ड तक बच्चों को कैसे असेस करना है, उनका मार्किंग कैसे रहेगा, वो ऑलरेडी कॉम्पिटेंसी बेस्ड फ्रेमवर्क उन्होंने पब्लिश कर चुके हैं, असेसमेंट फ्रेमवर्क उन्होंने पब्लिश कर चुके हैं. दैट इज द राइट वे. आपका असेसमेंट फ्रेमवर्क शुड बी पब्लिश्ड फर्स्ट. उसके बाद आप इजीली टीचिंग लर्निंग का फ्रेमवर्क आप पब्लिश कर सकते हो, विच इज कमिंग इन द नेशनल करिकुलम फ्रेमवर्क. एनसीएफ इज फॉर द स्कूल्स. सेम वे एनसीटीएफ भी आ रहा है, नेशनल करिकुलम टीचर्स फ्रेमवर्क. टीचर्स का भी एक फ्रेमवर्क आ रहा है. वो दोनों इस साल आई थिंक बाय जून एंड इट विल बी पब्लिश्ड बाय सीबीएसई एंड एनसीईआरटी. उसके बाद हर स्टेट में उसका स्टेट करिकुलम फ्रेमवर्क बनेगा एंड हर स्टेट का भी टीचर्स फ्रेमवर्क बनेगा. ओके, बट द असेसमेंट पैटर्न विल बी द सेम एज व्हाट सीबीएसई इज गोइंग टू इम्प्लीमेंट. क्यों? बिकॉज आपके जितने एंट्रेंस एग्जाम्स फ्यूचर में आने वाले हैं, जेई है या एनसीईआरटी है या यूपीएससी है या एनडीए एग्जाम है या सीडीएसई एग्जाम है, जो भी एग्जाम आपका है, एवरीथिंग इज गोइंग टू बी बेस्ड ऑन दी एनसीईआरटी नेशनल करिकुलम फ्रेमवर्क. Okay, so that is why you have to download this CBSE competency based assessment framework. अभी already uploaded है वेबसाइट में, आप डाउनलोड करके उसको पढ़िए. इट्स अ ब्यूटीफुल डॉक्यूमेंट, हाउ टू असेस द स्टूडेंट्स. सो आई होप दैट आंसर्स योर क्वेश्चन. नाउ फॉर ओबी असेसमेंट, अभी तक यस यूजीसी ने पब्लिश नहीं किया है, आई डू एग्री, बट ड्राफ्ट रेडी है. And like what I explained during my presentation, it is not as comprehensive as the schools because outcome will differ college to college, area to area, industry to industry. There is going to be a lot of changes in many places. So UGC का इतना comprehensive नहीं है. So don't expect कि CBSE की तरह आपका भी एक comprehensive document आने वाला है. Okay. Third question, again anonymous. It says, can we get some material for our subject for getting ideas to be ready for competency and object based? I don't know how many of you have downloaded Diksha this thing app. थोड़ा सा दीक्षा ऐप आप डाउनलोड कीजिए एंड कॉम्पिटेंसी बेस्ड एजुकेशन और आउटकम बेस्ड एजुकेशन का उनका वीडियोस हैं, आई थिंक 12 वीडियोस हैं. प्लीज गो थ्रू देम. वो बहुत ही सिंपल है एंड इन अ नाइस वे दे हैव एक्सप्लेन्ड इट. सो दैट इज द बिगिनिंग वे ऑफ अंडरस्टैंडिंग इट. आप उसको देखने के बाद यू कैन कम बैक टू मी. आई विल टेल यू हाउ टू गो फॉर द एडवांस्ड पोर्शंस. I have a lot of US based videos which I can share with you, but that will be a bit complicated now. So first you see the Diksha wala things. Okay, Mahalakshmi Mogan ma'am ka question hai, how are graduate attributes different from program outcomes, or are they the same? No, they are not the same. That is why I told you there are 12 graduate attributes which you need to keep beside you when you make the program outcomes. They are both different, so you need to know acha okay, communication skills is a graduate attribute. Now to bring communication out skills as a graduate attribute, मेरा program outcome में मुझे क्या करना चाहिए, तो आपको वो define करना चाहिए. मेरा 12 ग्रेजुएट एट्रीब्यूट है, तो मेरा प्रोग्राम आउटकम में मुझे क्या करना चाहिए, तो ये साइड बाय साइड रख के आपको करना है, इसलिए मैंने वो स्लाइड दिखाया था. In pharmacy, we are aware of only program outcomes which are already laid down by NBA. Exactly. This is the mistake many of us do. We only draft, जैसे मैंने आपको एक्सप्लेन किया था, हम लोग नीचे से ऊपर जाते हैं, कोर्स आउटकम डिफाइन करते हैं, लर्निंग आउटकम डिफाइन करते हैं, प्रोग्राम आउटकम डिफाइन करते हैं. We don't look into the graduate attributes. I do agree it's a big mistake. NBA has been asked to change that, and now from last year they have started checking the graduate attributes also. Okay. Manish Junagade, sorry, 1 second. Hello sir, what are the major changes in the education structure in NEP? My goodness, I hope you read that 60-page document. It's the best document which you will read on education. I hope you read it. Please download it and read it. उसमें काफी आपको changes दिखेगा. And all changes are very good. Okay. Bhushan Pustake, as we say, let's move to outcome-based education. I feel we had been following the same for so many years as students have to perform procedures to clear the exam. Wasn't that also outcome-based education assessment, at least in dental field? Okay, in dental and medical, let me tell you something which troubles all of us. An MBBS student from India is not allowed to practice in US. Because they say that our outcome-based education does not suit their medical practice. Okay. So you have to go to US, pass their USMLE exam, do the stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, then do the clinical practice there, and then get into their medical education after doing a course there. So it's like that cake ka example which I gave. You know, what they are saying is you're only teaching how to make that cake, but uska aju baju jo baki, you know, how to use that oven, how to use different types of vessels, what is the right temperature, these things you're not teaching. That is what they are complaining. So at the moment, NMC is in touch with many of the medical key institutions in changing our way of teaching the medical science as well as dental this thing. I think when I came to your college, when I spoke to all your professors, I have told मैंने काफी examples दिया था कि how they are going to change the outcome based education in your dental colleges. And in sustainable development goal number 3, which talks of health, this has been brought out, how the medical education will be changed, how it will be equalized in all the countries. So India also has to implement that. I hope your question is answered in that. It will be a different method of education, Bhushan. It will not be the same. There will be a lot of changes. What those changes are, I think we can have a separate meeting in your dental colleges. It's quite interesting as to what are the changes which are going to come in health, you know, education. There are changes, and in fact, NMC is frantically working on this. Okay, Kiran Erande. Respected sir, it's very informative for us. Kindly suggest some ways for how to make students more active and participative in class and activities. I think I should have shown you that video which I showed yesterday regarding community college in US. मैं कोशिश करता हूँ प्रेजेंटेशन के आखिर में अगर 2 मिनट टाइम है मरालकर का परमिशन लेके मैं दिखाता हूँ आपको how students participate in the class. In fact, मैंने आपको जर्मनी का एग्जाम्पल दिया था. The classes are so interesting and the classes become so informative because the total way of teaching changes in outcome based education. It is not कि आप textbook से you're reading out some chapter and you're dictating something and telling the students to by heart. ये नहीं होगा अभी. You have to make the students learn some competencies and only then experiential learning होगा, field studies होगा, project based learning होगा, काफी changes होगा in education system. So believe me, it is quite interesting. I have seen both the styles in Germany. The Purana style भी मैंने देखा है and the new style also I have seen, and that is a drastic change, a dramatic change, and I am sure your students will love the new way of teaching in outcome-based education. ठीक है? You can already see the changes in the CBSE schools. I hope I've answered that. Dr. Shivale, Bachelor of Vocation curriculum is 40% theory and 60% practicals, and industry partners involved in that curriculum design. Dr. Shivale, the biggest problem in India seems to be vocational education now, because जो पहला slide में मैंने आपको दिखाया था regarding the academic gap, academy industry gap, bridging that gap is from the vocational industry only. They are saying that colleges are not able to produce students who can be straight away put into the job from day one. एक ऑटोमोबाइल का ही एग्जांपल लेता हूँ जो आप लोग कराते हो. Many students are taught automobile engineering in the vocational education, but there is a huge complaint from the industry that these students cannot be directly put into work from day one. They have to be trained, retrained in some of their workshops and then only put to use. Infosys क्या कहता है, उनको 1 साल का additional training they have to give and then only use these students in in their company. 1 साल का additional training देना पड़ रहा है. So vocational education needs to be changed, and that's why the Indian government has called in the Korean government and Taiwan government to strengthen our vocational education. If you if your principals permit, मैं जब ये higher education का NEP का seminar लूंगा तो उसमें मेरा 3-4 slide है vocational education का, so I can explain to you कि what is the problem and how the government is going to refocus the vocational education. I think those slides है उसमें, but I can tell you with examples how they are going to do it, because उस दिन मैंने काफी examples सुना था उनके साथ. I hope I've answered that. Okay, somebody else, anonymous, he says, how do we maintain our morale without getting disappointed or demoralized in scenario of crab mentality? Indian system में ये होगा ही. I do agree. कोई अच्छा करता है तो उसको नीचे दिखाने के लिए 10 लोग काम करते हैं. तो डोंट वरी, ये कभी खत्म नहीं होगा, ये कंटिन्यू होगा. वी हैव टू इंश्योर कि हम लोग एटलीस्ट क्रैब मेंटालिटी पे नहीं है. दिस इज समथिंग व्हिच यू हैव टू लिव विथ. ये खत्म ही नहीं होगा.
I
कोई
beg to
अच्छा
differ, sir.
हाँ
I beg to differ.
ओके ठीक है, देखते हैं. Dr. Mukundes Bandari, isn't competency-based education opening the avenue of outcome-based education? Yes, I told you, no. Competency-based education के बाद ही outcome-based education आता है. School में competency-based education से start करने के बाद उसका seamless progress towards outcome-based education होगा. तो some principals told me कि हमारे लिए क्यों lecture ले रहे हो? तो भाई साहब, आपके पास जो बच्चे आ रहे हैं वो कॉम्पिटेंसी बेस्ड एजुकेशन के बाद आ रहे हैं, तो आपको एक लेवल ऊपर लेके जाना है टू आउटकम बेस्ड एजुकेशन. सो यस, यू आर राइट, इट ओपन्स द एवेन्यूज ऑफ आउटकम बेस्ड एजुकेशन. Will blended learning boost the competency graph of our students? 100%. I can tell you, ब्लेंडेड लर्निंग जो आप एडेक्स में देख रहे हो, उडमी में देख रहे हो, या एनी ऑफ दीज कोर्सेरा कोर्सेज में आप देख रहे हो, या मूक कोर्सेज में देख रहे हो, एटलीस्ट जो फॉरेन का जितने कोर्सेज आप देख रहे हो, इट्स ट्रांसफॉर्मिंग अ लॉट ऑफ चिल्ड्रंस लाइफ्स। मैंने होटल मैनेजमेंट के साथ मेरी बातचीत चल रही थी कि नासिक के कुछ housewives and कुछ I have seen even boys and girls participating in online courses which are taking place from Chennai. They are paying 1,000 rupees, 1,500 rupees and learning baking course, top cake ka topping course and all those things. And I have sat with my wife and gone through some of these courses, and they are so beautifully conducted. I was amazed with the kind of teaching. ये कोई प्रोफेशनल लोग नहीं है, ऐसा नहीं है कि वो यूएस से रिटर्न है या स्विट्जरलैंड से चॉकलेट सीख के आए हैं, ऐसा नहीं है, नॉर्मल लोग हैं वो, बट इतने अच्छी तरह वो ऑनलाइन सिखा रहे थे. आई एम श्योर ब्लेंडेड लर्निंग इज गोइंग टू चेंज, यस, क्वाइट अ लॉट ऑफ स्टूडेंट्स, आई डू एग्री. एंड मैं आप आई थिंक बार बार मैं ये बोल रहा हूँ, नेक्स्ट 1 year ऑनलाइन टीचिंग, ऑनलाइन असेसमेंट होने वाला है. वी नीड टू बी रेडी फॉर दैट. ओके. श्रीनाथ मंजरेकर, in the coming era of artificial intelligence, machine learning, data science and IoT, how one should be ready with it, as it is growing day and day. On the other hand, university changing the syllabus after a few years. Srinath, first thing I would say, why you are affiliated to Pune University? Why don't you become autonomous and start implementing your own syllabus? That is the objective of NAP 2020. Stop affiliation. You have to become autonomous. So first thing is become autonomous. Get out of this university mentality. Start following your own syllabus. Number two, technology. Yes, technology is going to come in very deep into your teaching courses. अगर आप से चेन्नई जाते हैं अभी, उनके बीकॉम कोर्स में ऑलरेडी, बीकॉम कोर्स में, please remember, BCom course mein they are teaching artificial intelligence, they are teaching machine learning, they are teaching data analytics. I'm not joking, they are already teaching this in BCom courses to the students. They are teaching Python programming, they are teaching R programming, they are teaching Internet of Things, they are teaching Industry 4.0 techniques to children. This is already being introduced in courses in India. तो ये आपके महाराष्ट्र में ज़्यादा दूर नहीं है. आई होप यू नो कि तेलंगाना में स्कूल्स में ऑलरेडी होलोग्राफी के थ्रू पढ़ा रहे हैं वो. केरला में ऑलरेडी आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस का यूज करके स्कूल्स में पढ़ा रहे हैं. आई होप यू न्यू दिस. यू कैन चेक इन टू गूगल. विलेजेस में, आई एम नॉट टॉकिंग ऑफ बिग सिटीज, विलेजेस में यूज कर रहे हैं. They are using virtual reality, they are using augmented reality in schools. Already it is there, it has come. ज़्यादा दूर नहीं है महाराष्ट्र. Maybe another 2 years, 3 years, because हमेशा हम लोग थोड़ा पीछे रहते हैं. These states are always ahead. Even a backward state like Jammu Kashmir is, I would say, in education is a little bit ahead because उनके पास funding थोड़ा सा जल्दी आ जाता है. Okay. डॉक्टर एग्नेस खराट सर, हाउ वी कैन डू मैपिंग ऑफ सीओज एंड पीओज. ये एक बहुत बड़ा प्रेजेंटेशन है. उसके लिए मुझे आपके साथ बैठना पड़ेगा, आपके कॉलेज का मिशन विशन देखना पड़ेगा. आपके साथ बैठ के मिशन विशन देखने के बाद देन वी कैन डू दिस. आई एम नॉट गोइंग टू गो फ्रॉम बॉटम टू द टॉप, आई एम ऑलवेज गोइंग टू लुक फ्रॉम टॉप टू बॉटम. So we need to define your mission vision first, and then we can map the course outcomes and program outcomes. Anonymous somebody, how important is the, I think you meant internet-based learning, not interest-based learning. How important is the interest-based learning to achieve competency? Okay, I'll answer both. I don't know whether you meant internet-based learning or interest-based learning. I think I'll give an example. Sorry, I'm taking a little bit of time. this was in 2013. Okay, I bought a sewing machine from Taiwan, and this sewing machine, whenever we operate it at home, it has to be connected to the internet. And what happens is कि इसमें अगर कहीं पे मिस्टेक होता है, स्टिचिंग में कहीं भी मिस्टेक होता है, तो उसको ताइवान में somebody is monitoring it. Internet of Things. So every week एक फीडबैक आता है कि आप लोगों ने ये स्टिचिंग करते वक्त ये मिस्टेक किया था आपने. Internet of Things. So feedback is given every week based on somebody monitoring this. And आप कैसे use कर रहे हो उसको देख के they are developing the product. उनकी product development में आपके usage के ऊपर they are checking कि how people are using their sewing machines and developing their product. Now in internet based learning, blended learning is going to be the future of all kinds of learning. इसको लोग बोलते हैं anywhere, anytime, any place learning. तो ये तो आने वाला ही है, and that is how students are going to succeed. If you are meaning interest based learning, आउटकम बेस्ड एजुकेशन का सबसे बड़ा फायदा ये है कि इट will generate interest in the students automatically. Okay. Dinesh Telang is asking how can we get the outcome of the HMCT courses as we have our own clientele base as it is food and service industry. My dear Dinesh, your outcome-based education is the biggest success story of Switzerland because of the HMCT industry. The HMCT course, hotel management courses, which are the most successful courses. I think you can learn a lot of things from these Switzerland-based courses, outcome-based courses. Okay. Somebody anonymous is asking, NCERT has established common framework including assessment parameters for schools of CBSE. Yes, they have already established. Some schools are still there at some remote areas. So as Pharmacy Council of India has same syllabus across the country, is it applicable to have a same kind of framework for pharmacy education? No. See, school syllabus in every country, the school syllabus will remain common. The framework will be common, but colleges framework will differ college to college depending on the area, depending on the industry around them. Suppose you go to US, the framework which Harvard University has is different from the framework which Stanford University has. Both are different. If you go to Germany, say Aachen, where I studied, RWTH University, its framework is different from Max Planck Institute in Stuttgart, which has got a different framework because the industries are different. The outcomes differ. So in your Pharmacy Council of India, don't worry, your Medical Council, NMC, Dental Council, Pharmacy Council of India, they are sitting together and they are making a very good framework for all of you, because your students need to go and compete with the global students from 2022 onwards. अभी तक राम भरोसा चल रहा था, वो राम भरोसा खत्म करके they want to achieve a common standard, common framework. So I think most probably by next year you will have your council giving you a good framework. Just wait one more year. Milind Ahire, ASC College Manmad. In outcome-based education, what is the place of need analysis of students before defining the outcome and competency? Okay, need analysis, gap analysis. if you can do need analysis when you're defining the outcome, then I would say you are one of the best teachers. I think you have understood what I have been trying to say. But many teachers fail to understand that need analysis. And when I mean need analysis, you have to see उनकी background क्या है, किस area में वो काम करने वाले हैं. Let me give you an example in this. I mean, since you have asked this question, it's quite interesting. एक जादवपुर यूनिवर्सिटी का एक प्रोफेसर ने एक कंट्रोवर्शियल स्टेटमेंट मारा था 2013 में, which became a big you know problem in those days. उन्होंने बोला था कि we university teachers are there only to teach. We are not meant to give jobs. We are not meant to make sure कि students will get jobs. उनकी need क्या है, उनका वो कहाँ जाके काम करेंगे is not our lookout. We will only teach. And there were a lot of faculty who stood in support of this Jadavpur University ka professor. But it became such a big controversy that the government had to step in and clarify that every institute, every university, every college has to ensure job-oriented education. Education is not meant only for giving knowledge. It also should ensure ki the student get a job. Now, why I'm giving this example is, suppose Nasik mein wo student gets trained. Are you saying कि वो अच्छा नासिक में पास आउट हो गया, नाउ प्लीज गो एंड वर्क इन गुड़गांव, आपको गुड़गांव में जॉब अवेलेबल है, आप उधर जाके काम कर लो? इज दैट व्हाट आवर इंटेंशन इज? गुड़गांव में बहुत सारा जॉब्स है, बैंगलोर में बहुत सारा जॉब्स है, तो गो एंड वर्क इन बैंगलोर. नाउ द चाइल्ड विल आस्क यू कि हु विल पे द रेंट देयर, मुझे घर मिलेगा क्या, वहां पे खाने के लिए मुझे कौन ये करेगा, होम विल आई स्टे विद देयर, मेरा ट्रांसपोर्ट का पैसा कौन देगा, मेरा फूड कौन देखेगा? आई एम यूज टू मराठी फूड हियर, आई एम गेटिंग कन्नड़ी का फूड इन बैंगलोर, आई एम गेटिंग साउथ इंडियन फूड देयर, विल इट सूट मी? So as a teacher, we need to, in outcome based education, that's why I'm saying Germany is one of the biggest success stories. We need to look into this also. Can I get a job for this student somewhere near Nasik, in and around Nasik, say Pune, Mumbai, Aurangabad? Is it possible? As per that India Skills Report 2021, Maharashtra is the biggest recruiter of students. Maharashtra has the largest number of jobs in India. Then why go to Gurgaon and why go to Bangalore and work? We need to study the need analysis of the students with respect to the industries around and then define the outcomes. You have asked an interesting question, and I think maybe in another some presentation we can discuss this. Okay. Vandana Shashikant Patil, are outcomes measurable or achievable? Both, ma'am. It can be measurable, it can be achievable, and it has to be both. It has to be measured, it has to be achieved. In army, for example, he should be able to fire that gun. So I measure it in every way. He should be able to fire that gun underwater. He should be able to fire that gun in air. He should be able to fire that gun when heavy wind is blowing and hit the target. When I am measuring, I am looking at whether he is hitting the target. Just not कि वो fire कर रहा है. He should know how to use that gun. He should know how to clean that gun. Everything is measurable. Achievable. So has he hit the target? So आउटकम बेस्ड एजुकेशन में दोनों इंपॉर्टेंट है, दोनों मेजरेबल है, दोनों अचीवेबल है. ओके ओके. So many questions today. Anonymous attendee, Our syllabus and course structure is already framed by university or UGC, and I don't think they are OBE. Then is it feasible to implement it? No, I think outcome-based education is already coming slowly into your university. Already the engineering colleges have got it. It is coming into your graduate system. It is coming slowly. It is coming. It is feasible to implement it. Don't wait for the school level implementation. That's why I said you got 3 years time. Start now. By the time the students reach you for proper outcome based learning in 2024, you are ready with everything. That is what I'm trying to say. Principal Chandrakant Digavkar, what is the status of open distance learning in NEP 2020? I think already government ने ये publish कर दिया है the entire open distance learning का document. I'll discuss this separately with you. The complete details are out in ODL, and I think दो तीन जगह ये आप download कर सकते हो. One is Pragyata, I think, and one is on the Department of IT. They have already uploaded this. I'll share with you these documents on ODL. Rani Tidke, I want to ask question related to academics that university changes the syllabus as per the industrial requirements, but does not provide any training program to teachers. So they learn from available resources, can't give 100% for new subjects. Yeah, I think I gave that example of that farmers' children. They said they know more about agriculture than the teacher. This is a problem in India. I do agree. Many of the teachers do not have industry-based experience, so they teach only theoretical aspects as per the book. That is why in the national education policy, you are supposed to interact more with your local industries. You are supposed to incorporate the local, uh, industry, farmers, all these aspects into your learning. We'll discuss on this more. स्कूल्स के लिए क्लस्टर अप्रोच करके उन्होंने ऑलरेडी पब्लिश कर चुके हैं हाउ स्कूल्स कैन बिकम क्लस्टर्स बट फॉर योर कॉलेजेस आई थिंक I don't know which college you are from, but we can sit on this and I'll tell you how it can be done.
BCS college. Or BCS college.
BCS, okay. So you're in Nasik, which can be easily done. One thing I would like to tell is your NEP 2020 gives a lot of focus on teacher training, not only schools. Please don't, I know this is a common mistake which many people do कि सिर्फ स्कूल का ट्रेनिंग के बारे में उसने लिखा है. ऐसा नहीं है. कॉलेज का टीचर्स का ट्रेनिंग सिलेक्शन प्रोसेस उनका फैकल्टी डेवलपमेंट 50 घंटे का जो फैकल्टी डेवलपमेंट करना है हर साल का जो फैकल्टी डेवलपमेंट करना है एवरीथिंग इज डिस्कस्ड इन दैट एंड इन दैट हाउ लोकल इंडस्ट्रीज आर टू बी इन्वॉल्व्ड इज आल्सो डिस्कस्ड. आई डू एग्री कि कॉन्सेप्ट फ्रेमवर्क अभी तक आपके हाथ में नहीं आया है बट आई हैव रेड इट. इट्स अ गुड वन. यू विल गेट चांस टू गेट इंटरेक्शन विथ लोकल इंडस्ट्रीज. Okay, Dr. Priya Desai, I think from Dental College. MUHS is given certain assessment criteria and marks accordingly distributed. How to assess these OBE and do we have to give separate marking? No, marking system will come to an end in outcome-based education. There are no marks given. It is only you evaluate the outcome. For your health-related courses, maybe when we have some time, I can come and we'll discuss. I'll tell Bhushan to arrange some sort of a lecture with all of you. We can have a separate discussion on this. Okay. But your question is valid. How can we verify outcomes in arts and humanities? Somebody anonymous is asking. My goodness, arts and humanities is the biggest success story in outcome-based education. So wait for it. You are the front runner for implementing outcome based education, not the engineering colleges. I am surprised that India mein engineering colleges have started it, but world over, I hope you know, William Spady was the man who implemented it in US, and he is from the arts and humanities background. Okay, what should be the future of B.Ed College Malegaon? You are going to become the backbone, Dhananjay Nikam. You are going to have these 4-year courses, and you are also going to train PhD professors. Please remember, PhD pass करने के बाद आपको सीधा teaching profession में नहीं जा सकते हैं. They also need to be trained. So you will be involved in their training also. Okay. So wait for your total life is going to change. I do agree कि D.Ed बंद होने वाला है, whereas B.Ed will become 4-year course, and you will also be training PhD professors. Okay. Anonymous attendee, dental graduates usually aim to eventually set up their own practice. Entrepreneurship, NEP 2020 में एक पूरा paragraph दिया है. We can just provide the right training and be facilitators with prospective employees, but can't guarantee jobs. No, sorry, I don't agree with this. Your education system should ensure that the child gets a job, whether it is through entrepreneurship or whether it is some value added education or whether it is in some company. That doesn't matter, but your education system has to ensure that the child gets a job, or the child goes for higher education, or the child gets becomes a teacher. Whoever is this anonymous, you can meet me, I'll clarify that personally. Vishnu Adole, assistant professor, it is time to start the project-based learning from graduation only. Affiliated university has not made the projects compulsory to the students for graduation. Even they have not made it compulsory PG. There should be compulsory 2 months industrial research training for PG programs. I think you have not read the NEP 2020, Vishnu Adole. You have to read the NEP 2020. Internship is one of the key things which they are talking of. And I showed you that slide. I waited there 2 full minutes to explain that. Experiential learning. Internship is going to, project-based learning is one of the backbone of NEP 2020. Okay. So all your colleges have to collaborate with industries and research institutions around your campus. It's not that you have an MOU, you are in Nasik and you sign an MOU with some Gurgaon based company. ऐसा नहीं है. You have to have local interaction, local collaboration. I know the common thing is कि इतने सारे population के लिए इतना internships मिलेगा क्या? It is possible, and I think we can work this out. Okay, Dr. Devram Jadhav, respected sir, will competency-based systems replace time-bound systems? I don't know how this question came. Yes, sir, it will completely replace. Traditional education is going to be shut down from 2024 onwards. All your traditional education systems will end by March 2024. Your date already announced है. आपको मैंने वो slide भी दिखा दिया है. All colleges will start from 2024 June. All schools will transform into competency-based education by March 2024. Your 12th standard exam will be by March 2024. So I hope this clarifies your question. I think Amit khatam ho gaya. Thank you. Jagdale sir.
Yes sir, thank you very much. मित्रो, आदरणीय अपूर्व भाऊंच्या संकल्पनेतून अनेक नवीन गोष्टी संस्थेमध्ये इम्प्लिमेंट होत आहेत आणि आता जे काही अभ्यास मंडळ आणि फॅकल्टीज अँड डीन जे काही अपॉइंट केलेले आहेत त्यांच्या रोल्स अँड रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी जर बघितल्या तर आपल्याला सीओज अँड पीओज अँड अटेनमेंट ऑफ सीओज अँड पीओज किंवा रायटिंग सीओज अँड पीओज पासून ते सगळ्या जबाबदारी बोर्डरच्या रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी पार्ट मध्ये केलेल्या आहेत. काही अभ्यास मंडळांनी त्याच्यावर नियोजन सुरू केलेलं आहे आणि त्यांनी त्यांच्यावर कार्यशाळा पण सुरू केलेल्या आहेत. तर हे साधारणतः ह्या सगळ्या जे प्लॅनिंग आहेत आपल्या न्यू एज्युकेशन सिस्टीमकडे जाताना ऑटोनॉमस कॉलेज जे काही भविष्याचं सगळेच कॉलेजेस होणार आहेत किंवा क्लस्टर युनिव्हर्सिटीची काही जी संकल्पना येणाऱ्या काळामध्ये येत आहे त्यासाठी आपल्या सगळ्या स्टाफला अवेअरनेसचा एक पार्ट आपण सुरू केलेला आहे. स्टाफ ट्रेनिंग हा इम्पॉर्टंट पॅरामीटर्स आपण घेतलेला आहे आणि प्रायमरी असेल, सेकंडरी असेल किंवा सिनियर्स कॉलेज लेवलचं स्टाफ ट्रेनिंग प्रोग्राम आपण चालू केलेले आहेत. ऑन एन ॲव्हरेज आठवड्याला एक स्टाफ ट्रेनिंग ऑनलाईन मोडमध्ये आपण सगळ्यांची इंटरॅक्शन करणार आहोत. आपला रिस्पॉन्स पार्टिसिपेशन हा सगळ्यात महत्वाचा आहे आणि ॲज कम्पेअर्ड टू येस्टरडे टुडे देर इज अ व्हेरी गुड इंटरॅक्शन नियर अबाउट 26 क्वेश्चन्स वेगळ्या पार्टिसिपंटने विचारलेले आहेत. फक्त एकच आहे की आपण 100% डिवोशनली ह्या सिस्टीम मध्ये इन्व्हॉल्व्ह व्हा. निश्चितच आनंद होईल. वी क्रॉस नियर अबाउट 400 पार्टिसिपंट्स टुडे, पण ड्युरिंग क्वेश्चन आन्सर सेशन आज जर पाहिलं तर काही लिव्ह झालेले आहेत आणि हे सगळं चांगली गोष्ट नाही असं मला वाटतं. आपला तास चालू आहे, एखादा शिक्षक वर्गात उपस्थित आहे आणि काही मुलं मागच्या बेंचवरून किंवा निघून चालले दिसताना त्या शिक्षकाला वेदना होता. आपण टीचर आहोत, या टीचरचं फिलिंग यू कॅन इमॅजिन, यू कॅन अनालाइज अँड यू कॅन समजू शकता की आपल्याला किंवा जे ऑर्गनायझर्सला ते कशा गोष्टीच्या वेदना होत आहे. तर हे भविष्यात होऊ नये. 100% पार्टिसिपेशन एक्सपेक्टेड आहे आणि निश्चितच येणाऱ्या काळामध्ये यू विल गेट ए गुड रिसोर्स पर्सन ऑन ए व्हेरी डिफरंट टॉपिक्स आणि तुमच्या ह्याच्या न्यू एज्युकेशन पॉलिसीच्या अनुषंगाने, ऑटोनॉमस कॉलेजच्या अनुषंगाने किंवा ज्या काही एक्सपिरियन्शियल लर्निंग अनेक क्वेश्चन्स इथं रेज होत आहे. त्या कन्सेप्ट क्लिअर करणं ही काळाची गरज आहे आणि त्यासाठी आपल्याला सगळ्यांनाच आपल्याला ट्रेनिंग देऊन आणि ह्या सगळ्या कन्सेप्ट क्लिअर करून येणाऱ्या काळामध्ये महात्मा गांधी विद्यामंदिरच्या सगळ्याच कॉलेजांमध्ये चांगले ग्रेड मिळून ऑटोनॉमसच्या भूमिकेतून आपल्याला चांगलं टाईपचं एज्युकेशन देण्याची जी काही संकल्पना आहे ती आपल्याला नेहमीच आपल्या भरोशावर हे सगळं चालणार आहे आपल्याला माहित आहे. त्यामुळे चांगलं कॉन्ट्रीब्युशन आपण करावं. आपल्याला माहित आहे की सरांनी आपले जे काही प्राचार्यांचे ग्रुप्स आहेत संस्थेचे त्याच्यावरती ब्लेंडेड लर्निंगचं UGCची गाईडलाईन्स जी काही टाकली होती, 48 ते पानांची पुस्तिका होती, त्या प्राचार्यांमार्फत आपल्यापर्यंत पोहोचली असेलच किंवा नसेल ते UGC वेबसाईटवरनं डाउनलोड करा. कोविड-19च्या याच्यात ऑनलाईन लर्निंगच्या वर आणि इव्हॅल्युएशनची पण एक व्हॉट्सअपवर एक शेअर केलेली डॉक्युमेंट आहे, तेही आपण बघा आणि त्याच्यामध्ये बऱ्याचशा कन्सेप्ट आपल्या क्लिअर होतील. आणि इफ यू गोज युट्यूब वरती जर काही COs अँड POs अँड अटेंडमेंट वरचे जर काही लेक्चर्स आपण बघितले तर तिथे सुद्धा अनेक गोष्टी आपल्या क्लिअर होतीलच. पण आज आपल्याला चेंज हा माइंडसेट असणं गरजेचं आहे. आपल्या टीचिंग मेथड्समध्ये लॉट ऑफ बदल झालेले आहेत. ड्युरिंग कोविड पॅन्डेमिक्स मध्ये आपण बघितलेलं आहे चांगले शिक्षक सुद्धा टीचिंग मेथड्समध्ये मुलांना ज्ञान देताना बराचसा त्रास सहन करून देत आहेत हे आपल्याला माहिती आहे. पण काही टीचरच्या अजूनही मुलांपर्यंत पोहोचताना अडचणी येत आहेत. त्यामुळे ऑनलाईन टीचिंग मोड्समध्ये पण आपण ट्रेनिंग प्रोग्राम घेणार आहोत. पुढच्या आठवड्यात साधारणतः मूडल्स जे काही LMS पोर्टल सावित्रीबाई फुले पुणे युनिव्हर्सिटी वापरते त्याचा ट्रेनिंग आपण सगळ्या स्टाफसाठी देणार आहोत आणि होप 100% कॉलेजेस SPPOचं मूडलचं जे काही पोर्टल्स आहेत ते आपण जॉईन करूया. काही कॉलेजांनी जॉईन केलेले आहेत, आपणही त्याच्यात कॉन्ट्रीब्युट करून आणि आपल्या मुलांसाठी त्या सुविधा देणार आहोत. त्याचं ट्रेनिंग पुढच्या आठवड्यात राहील. डेट्स अँड टाइम्स तुम्हाला लवकरच कळवण्यात येईल. ह्या वेबिनार्समध्ये आपल्या संस्थेतले सर्व डायरेक्टर्स, ऑल डीन्स जे काही संस्थेने अपॉइंट केलेले सर्व डीन्स आणि सर्व प्राचार्य, उपप्राचार्य, विभाग प्रमुख, सर्व शिक्षक उपस्थित राहिले त्याबद्दल मी संस्थेच्या वतीने आपले सगळ्यांचे आभार व्यक्त करतो. आणि सगळ्यात महत्त्वाचं म्हणजे पै सरांनी जे काही आपल्याला मार्गदर्शन केलं ते निश्चितच त्यांना इंटरेस्ट असते, आवड असते आणि त्यांची इच्छा असते कोणीतरी मला काही विचारावं आणि मी त्याला कसं जास्तीत जास्त गाईड करेल आणि ते स्वतःहून सांगता की माझं लेक्चर ऑर्गनाईज करा. सगळ्या प्रिन्सिपल्सला मला सांगणं आहे की तुम्ही सरांची चर्चा करून आपल्या स्टाफसाठी तुम्हाला जे काही एक्सपेक्टेड टॉपिक असतील ते सरांचे शेअर करा आणि त्याच्यावर तुम्ही जेवढे जास्तीत जास्त इंटरॅक्टिव्ह सेशन घेता येतील स्टाफसाठीचे ते तुम्ही घ्या. इव्हन ॲक्रेडिटेशन फ्रेमवर्कवर कुठल्याही टॉपिकवर सर बोलता आणि निश्चितच हे ॲक्रेडिटेशन फ्रेमवर्कचं तर बेंगलोरला असताना जी काही फर्स्ट टाइम इंट्रोड्यूस झालं त्याच्या फ्रेमवर्कचं कॉन्ट्रीब्युशन सुद्धा सरांचं आहे. अनेक ठिकाणी एज्युकेशन हा त्यांना आतून लागलेला छंद आम्हाला दिसतोय आणि एज्युकेशन सिस्टीम मध्ये होणारे इनोव्हेशन्स पण सरांना खूप आवडतात आणि त्यामुळे असं कुठे हेजिटेशन नाही, कुठे मान नाही, अपमान नाही, असं काही नाही. कोणी इंटरॅक्ट झालं तरी चालतं किंवा हे सगळं समजून घ्या तुम्ही त्यांच्या भावना. आणि खरं तर अशा लर्नेड पर्सनॅलिटीचं आपण कॉलेजच्या मुलांपर्यंत इंटरॅक्शन करून ऑनलाईन मोडने मुलांपर्यंत पीजी स्टुडंट तुम्ही एकत्र आणू शकता, अंडर ग्रॅज्युएट स्टुडंट एकत्र आणू शकता. वी हॅव ए वेबिनार पोर्टल, पार्टिसिपेशन 500च आहे. कॉलेजने त्याचं स्लॉट मागून घ्या आणि सरांच्या इंटरॅक्शन डायरेक्ट विथ द स्टुडंट्स अँड टीचर्स या कंटिन्युअसली जर तो आपण करून आणल्या तर डेफिनेटली त्याचा आपल्याला फायदा होईल. आणि निश्चितच मित्रांनो, आपल्याला बदल आपल्यात करायचा असेल, माइंडसेट बदलायचा असेल तर आपल्याला वेगळं काहीतरी ऐकावं लागेल, वेगळं काहीतरी ट्रेनिंग घ्यावी लागेल. आणि आपल्यातला शिक्षक 100% डिव्होशनली जर काम करायला लागला, मी कंटिन्युअसली 3 दिवसापासून सरांना ऐकतोय. प्रायमरी एज्युकेशनला त्या दिवशी ऐकलंय, काल ज्युनियर सेक्शनला ऐकतोय, आज सरांनी सिनियर कॉलेजच्या स्टाफसाठी लेक्चर घेतलंय. पण तिघी दिवशी शिकवण्याच्या ज्या मेथड्स होत्या किंवा प्रेझेंटेशन जो काही त्यांनी बदल केला, एक्सपेक्टेड का आहे, कुठपर्यंत द्यायचं आहे, हा जो चेंज आहे, हा जे दररोज शिकवण्यामध्ये जे काही मॉडिफिकेशन एक्सपेक्टेड आहे, एफवायच्या वर्गावर गेल्यावर काय पाहिजे, पीजीच्या वर्गावर कुठल्या पद्धतीने जावं लागेल किंवा आपल्या शिकवण्याच्या मेथड्स मध्ये आपण काय बदल करायला पाहिजे, या अनेक गोष्टी शिकायला तुम्हाला निश्चित त्यांच्याकडनं मिळतील. आणि मला असं वाटतं की आता आपण चेंज व्हायला पाहिजे आणि आपलं ऑनलाईन टीचिंग जे आहे, शिक्षक जे काही देत आहेत त्या टीचिंग्स मध्ये 100% सुधारणा करणं ही काळाची गरज आहे. इंटरॅक्टिव्ह टाईपचं लर्निंग आपलं वाढवणं काळाची गरज आहे. आणि मुलांचा अप्रोच, मुलांचं इंटरॅक्शन, मुलांचं इन्व्हॉल्वमेंट, मुलांसाठी हे सगळा प्रयोग आपण करतोय. त्यामुळे मुलांचं सॅटिस्फॅक्शन आपण ज्याला म्हणतो एज्युकेशनचं, जर आपण करण्याचा प्रयत्न केला तर 100% न्यू एज्युकेशन सिस्टीमच्या ज्या काही एज्युकेशन पॉलिसीच्या काही संकल्पना आहेत त्या इम्प्लिमेंट होण्याच्या आत आपल्या सगळ्या शिक्षकांचा, विद्यार्थ्यांचा आणि ओव्हरऑल ऑल स्टेक होल्डरची मानसिकता, या सगळ्या गोष्टी पॉझिटिव्ह ऍक्सेप्ट करण्याची आपली होईल. आणि हाच आपला हा ट्रेनिंग प्रोग्रामचा हेतू आहे. आय थिंक वी क्रॉस लॉट ऑफ एक्स्ट्रा टाइम गेलेलं, आपण इथं थांबूया.
एक ही क्लैरिफिकेशन देता हूँ. लास्ट क्वेश्चन किसी ने पूछा है कि चाइना एंड यूएस का इंडस्ट्री बहुत पैसा डालता है करके. नहीं है, मैं प्लीज बिलीव मी इन दिस, ऐसा नहीं है कि अमेरिकन इंडस्ट्री या चाइनीज इंडस्ट्री एजुकेशन सिस्टम में बहुत पैसा डालता है, ऐसा नहीं है, उल्टा है. The gap is less वहाँ पे. What they say is the student in US, once he does a master's course or a PhD course, can easily fit into their industry. So that is what is happening there. So the industry is willing to spend money in investing for research because they know कि उनको result मिलेगा, outcome मिलेगा. And I think मैंने एक बजाज कंपनी का एग्जाम्पल दिया था. राहुल बजाज ने एक मीटिंग में थोड़े दिन पहले, 2 महीने पहले, उन्होंने बताया था कि उनके कंपनी में कुछ रिसर्च वर्क करना है तो इंडियन इंस्टीट्यूट्स में वो बेचते नहीं है वो कॉन्सेप्ट नोट. वो क्या करते हैं, चाइना में बेचते हैं. एंड चाइना में वो 7 दिन के अंदर चाइनीज यूनिवर्सिटी से पूरा डिटेल द एंटायर प्रोजेक्ट रिपोर्ट बन के आता है. एंड इन केस प्रोडक्शन है तो 15 दिन में प्रोडक्शन भी होके आता है. So this is the reason their education system is far ahead of us. So don't think कि उनकी इंडस्ट्री पैसा डाल रहा है, ये गलत फहमी में आप मत रहिए. मैंने लास्ट क्वेश्चन अभी पढ़ा. So don't think like that. There is a gap. We need to accept it, and we need to first accept it and then climb upwards. होगा ये 100%. I'm sure कि हम लोग ऊपर जाएंगे. चाइना कर सकता है तो हम भी कर सकते हैं. तो that is what I'm trying to say. Thank you.
त्याचं एक कारण म्हणजे आपण परीक्षा पद्धती ज्या बंद करत चाललोय. सुरुवातीला 7वी पर्यंत बोर्ड होतं, नंतर 10वीच्या बोर्ड्सचा इम्प्लिमेंट झालं, 12च्या बोर्ड्स परीक्षा सुरू झाल्या आणि याच्यात जे डिग्रेडेशन, कुठल्याही एक्झाम न घेता पोरांना फॉरवर्ड करणं, त्यामुळे कदाचित माइंडसेट पब्लिकचा आणि स्टुडंटचा चेंज झालेला आहे. निश्चितच मित्रांनो, आज आपण अनेक गोष्टींवर चर्चा केलेली आहे. सरांनी सगळ्या क्वेश्चन्सला आन्सर केलेला आहे. पुनश्च एकदा मी सगळ्यांचा आभार मानेन. आणि हे सगळ्या ऑर्गनायझेशन मध्ये हे सगळे आपले येओज आणि सगळे काम करतायत. मराळकर असतील, बाकीचे एओज असतील, त्यांचे आपण इथं खरं तर सहकार्य घेत असतो. IT विभाग असतो, त्यांचंही सहकार्य आपली जबाबदारी आहे. निश्चित त्या नेक्स्ट वीक्स मध्ये आणि किंवा पुढच्या फ्युचर्स मध्ये कंटिन्युअस आपण इंटरॅक्शन मध्ये राहूया, असं एक आभार म्हणून ही मीटिंग आपण संपवतोय. धन्यवाद.
धन्यवाद सर.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
सर,
Thanks to all of you.
विद्वानांची सेवा करण्याचा आम्हाला संधी मिळते आणि तुम्ही आम्हाला संधी देतायत, हीच आमच्याकरता मोठी गोष्ट आहे. थँक्यू सर.
आय थिंक सर इज होस्ट ना सर, त्यामुळे एंड
हो, sir.
करायला